I wasn't sure if I was going to do this stream. I wasn't sure. I heard about the meeting that we are going to attempt to watch live a couple days ago. And I kind of like, part of me was actually, I was thinking maybe I want to drive over there, and because actually it's not that far away from where I live, the meeting that we're going to watch. And I was thinking maybe I want to drive over there. And then I was like, I left a light on in my car and my battery died and my husband hasn't fixed it yet. So I couldn't drive over there. But we can try to watch this live stream together. So welcome to an impromptu Thursday night live stream. If you are wondering what this live stream is all about, we have about 15 minutes before this meeting is supposed to start. And I want to give you a little preface for what it is. But before we do that, guys, you know what I want you to do? I want you to mount that like button for me, please. Mount that like button. You might as well just get it out of the way. We're going to be together for, however long this meeting takes. So mount that like button. And this live stream is brought to you by my Locals community. Locals is the most sane place on the internet. We just had like a 2.5 hour Locals community Zoom earlier today. We talked about a lot of stuff, worked through a lot of feelings, laughed together, cried together, supported each other. We do 2 Zoom calls a week in my Locals, which you can be a part of if you want to join as a supporter. You can join as a supporter by giving $5 a month. Or if you want to do it on an annual basis, you can do it for $50 a year, which gives you 2 free months. When you become a supporter of my Locals community, you unlock now you can actually join for free. You can. kb.locals.com. The information is in the description below. But when you become a supporter, you unlock all of the features in Locals. You can comment on all the posts. You get access to the Zoom calls. We're going to be doing a book club coming up. We're reading The Fountainhead. If you haven't started reading The Fountainhead, start reading The Fountainhead. It's a big book, but it's a good book. I'm enjoying it. And we're going to be doing that. We're going to be doing a debate club. I'm looking for one more brave debater for debate club that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So you get all that in my Locals, and we get to hang out and have no trolls, and it's the nicest place on the internet. All right. What is this live stream about? Let me just share. I'm going to share my Twitter with you. Not because I know a lot of you hate Twitter, fine. But just because I posted the documents there. So a couple days ago, I got this email. And it was forwarded to me by an accomplice who I will keep a mystery for now because she helps me and forwards stuff to me sometimes. So here is the email, the context in which we are going to be watching this. Oh, Sean's here. Hi, Sean. Good to see you. This is the email that describes the meeting. We are sending an invitation reminder about this Thursday's Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Justice Information Night to be held in the auditorium at Exeter High School from 5:30 to 7 o'clock. This will be the first of several sessions where you can learn more about how social justice ideals are being shared and learned in our schools and communities. The information session will feature a presentation on the fundamental work that is taking place, and attendees will be able to submit questions prior to the presentation. An initial information session will only feature information sharing with no live public input or comment. Well, I suspect we will, in fact, have a live public input and comment right here on this stream. Congratulations, Exeter High School. We invite you to submit a question ahead of time so the presentation can be tailored to answer as many questions as possible. Attendees will also be invited to submit the information session for community members who are unable to attend in person. This event will be live streamed by Blue Hawk Media. Thank you, Blue Hawk Media, for doing us this important service. In order to prompt some thinking or questions about the work, we offer the following definitions and explanations of recent topics that have captured the attention of the public and media. We wish to thank our neighbors, SAU 17, for sharing the following information for our purposes. Critical race theory defined in Encyclopedia Britannica, and you guys know how I feel about people who need to reference Encyclopedia Britannica in order to define critical race theory. Treehouse News. Britannica defines CRT as an intellectual movement and loosely organized framework of legal analysis based on the premise that race is not a natural, biologically grounded feature of physically distinct subgroups. I mean, I don't know how you explain the existence of melanin, but okay. Of human beings, but a socially constructed, culturally invented category that is used to oppress and exploit people of color. Critical race theorists hold that the law and legal institutions in the United States are inherently racist insofar as they function to create and maintain social, economic, and political inequalities between whites and non-whites, especially African Americans. New Hampshire's new divisive concepts law, which apparently, by the way, they still haven't read. No one's read this effing thing, but okay, whatever. They can think whatever they want is in it. Recently, the New Hampshire legislature adopted new laws that address divisive concepts being taught in public schools. These laws are new, and the administration and staff have been working collaboratively to comply with the legislation. Here are some key points to be aware of as we start our new school year. Schools are permitted to discuss, as part of a larger course of instruction, the historical existence of facts, topics, and subjects identified in the new law, including prohibited divisive concepts. Schools are also permitted to teach about the existence of racism, sexism, and other forms of discrimination. Well, at least it's got that right. I have to give them props. They did actually get that section correct. Schools are prohibited from using program, including classroom instruction, stating that people are inherently superior or inferior on the basis of race or gender, are inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive, consciously or unconsciously, should be discriminated against or receive adverse treatment, cannot or should not treat others equally and or without regard to protected characteristics. A big thing missing from the laws was that they can still teach that America is a fundamentally racist country, which is the basis on which all the other crap they teach in schools is taught. But no one's read the law, so no one knows that. Moving forward, as our information night and subsequent evenings will show, we are working collaboratively to ensure that all of our students grow as critical and free thinkers, that all of our community members feel valued and included, and that all perspectives are welcomed and respected. Our work is to ensure that all of this exists within the boundaries of the law and a highly rigorous academic program. We look forward to receiving your questions and seeing you on Thursday evening. Well, if that wasn't enough, and I kind of feel like that's enough right there, BLM found out about this. BLM Seacoast, a post 6 hours ago. This postcard was mailed to Exeter residents a few days ago. The postcard represents how whiteness seeks to distort the realities of structural violence inherent to the histories of marginalized people. The relentless lengths whiteness will go to preserve itself is shown by the backlash from community members regarding the SAU 16 DEIJ meeting. So apparently there's been backlash precipitated by whiteness to the meeting. Whether it's wrongfully describing the non-existent implementation of CRT, even though let us just remind ourselves that last week, Kimberly Crenshaw, the inventor of intersectionality, gave a critical race theory summer school in which they flat out admitted that critical race theory is being taught in K-12 schools, but I digress. The non-existent implementation of CRT, or the claims that a diverse curriculum encourages discrimination against self and others, we need to start being honest about what this resistance to DEIJ work really means. An unwillingness to acknowledge and deeply reflect on the experiences of those on the margins. There's nothing neutral about a nation founded on slavery and genocide. The religious and political convictions of some justify the rationale for the erasure and death of others, while whiteness tries to prioritize itself by asserting its power, BIPOC folks, and I'm impressed that they didn't use FOLX, this is FOLKS, deserve to subvert whiteness by taking up spaces that were never designed for them in mind. It's time to get real about what's at stake. We call on our allies and supporters to join us tonight on August 19th at 9:30 in solidarity against these racist attacks on SAU's DEIJ team. We call on our allies and supporters from across the seacoast to join us tonight. And they said the same thing again. All are welcome, not just Exeter residents. Hashtag New Hampshire is not innocent. So that's the context in which we will be watching tonight's meeting. What do you guys think of all that? What are your thoughts so far? Let me just check in and see if they have started the live stream yet. Oh, the live stream is up. The live stream is up. Okay. They're not doing anything just yet. But let me just put the live stream up on the screen. Chrome tab. learning about DEIJ, share audio. The live stream is up. So we're going to be able to watch this together. I am not a lesbian. That is fake news. Don't believe that wiki article about me. We're working on it. I'm working on debunking the fake news. God. It's a sore spot, okay? All right, guys, we have about 6 minutes before this meeting starts. What are your thoughts? Chat in your thoughts. Make sure you mount that like button. Yeah, we're going to have more people watching this meeting on my live stream by like a significant degree than are going to be watching on the actual live stream. I'm just saying, like, nothing will go wrong with this plan. Absolutely nothing can go wrong with this plan. Exactly. Oh, I missed it. Okay, super chat. Josh, oh my gosh. Oh, that's a Josh. That is like the best handle. Josh, oh my gosh. I wonder if they know they sound exactly like Nazis did in World War II era. No. No, I'm going to go ahead and say they do not know that. I'm going to go ahead and say no. Guys, what are you hoping to see from tonight's live stream? Are there any highlights that you are hoping for? We should really... Should we play Unwoke Bingo? Holy shit. I didn't even think of getting Unwoke Bingo up. Hang on. I'll get the bingo card up. All right, I'm putting it in the chat. This is our Unwoke Bingo card. Actually, I'm going to do that again. I can pin it to the top. If you want to get a bingo card, grab a bingo card. They're all different. All right, let's see. Yeah, we're going to have a bingo moment. We're doing it live. Guys, I have 2 different kinds of... I'm anticipating a good night. So I have 2 different kinds of bubble tea. It's Kung Fu tea. This is a grape punch with grape popping bubbles. And this is a Thai tea, which is delicious. Mr. Green wants you to side shuffle that like button. You guys can do whatever you want to the like button. I mean, however you want to smash it, you want to mount it, you want to side shuffle, you know? Will there be... No, we do our drinking game tomorrow. Drinking game is tomorrow at 3 p.m. Sean, can kids video their teachers? Also ask them if they think vaccine passports are racist. Vaccine passports are, of course, racist. You know, actually, this is an interesting question, Sean. I was actually asking some people. I was trying to figure this out. I was trying to figure out yesterday the legality of children filming in classrooms and whether or not that was actually legal. I'm pretty sure it's legal because teachers don't have privacy rights. But I've actually got questions into people to figure out the legality of this. So we're going to find out more. Oh, I'm so excited. I hope Black Lives Matter stages a protest or a coup of the meeting. Yeah, so it should be like filming the cops. It should be. It's like it's the same thing. But the teachers unions like to try to convince people that teachers are not government employees. In theory, it should be the same. Teachers don't have free speech protections, and they don't have privacy protections when they're in the classroom. So it should, in theory, be the same. But teachers unions. Oh, man. I wonder if anyone's told them I'm live streaming this. Wouldn't that be funny? They'd be like, sir, 28 watching now. Manchester is like the LA of New Hampshire. It is. But this is an Exeter. I mean, I kind of think BLM everywhere is pretty insufferable. It has not started yet. We're waiting for it to start, but this is the video, so it's going to start when it starts. It's supposed to start in 1 minute. 1 minute countdown. 1 minute countdown. Keene does not rate. I actually like Keene far more than I like Manchester, though. For what it's worth, which is probably nothing. Oh, man. How many people here are actually in New Hampshire? I'm wondering. How many people here are actually in New Hampshire? I'm so upset about this. Why is the chat disabled on the school? I think we can probably guess why the chat is disabled. I think we can give a good sporting guess about why they did that. That's okay. We can do public comment here. Okay, we got a bunch of people in New Hampshire. Now I got New Jersey. Missouri's here. Some people don't even know where New Hampshire is. Iowa banned CRT. You guys have got a kick-ass base governor. Grandma Nay is in Iowa. Seth is in New Hampshire, aka Glenn. I guess technically New Hampshire. Yeah. But even if you're not in New Hampshire, guys, we're going to learn about diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice tonight. They added a whole new category on just for us. Whole new category. Oh, God. Portland. I'm sorry. California. Oh, God. San Francisco. Oh, stay strong. Stay strong. Linda's in New Hampshire. I love Pittsburgh. I love Pittsburgh. I have not spent much time there, but I have really enjoyed Pittsburgh. It's such a beautiful city. TPS says school recording is illegal because of student privacy. But like, what if the student is actually doing the recording? And students technically don't have privacy. This is wrong. Public schools are public places. Students do not have privacy at school. These typically tend to be school policies that say the privacy rights of students. Students don't have, it is a public taxpayer funded place. I don't think that's correct that students have privacy in public schools. I don't think that's right. Those are usually school policies. But if the students are filming, like, it's their privacy. $44 now watching. Yeah. We're working on it. Working very diligently on it. Delaware. It is raining here. Okay, come on, guys. We're 3 minutes over start. I can't entertain everyone. I'm not like a comedian. I don't have like a set I can do while we're waiting for this diversity. Oh, wait, did those people just appear? Did those diverse people, was that there or did that just appear? Am I crazy? It's starting. Guys, it's ready. It's starting. It's starting. Yes. I bet we have more people watching this stream than are in that room.
Welcome, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Michelle Holt-Shannon, and I am your moderator for tonight.
Guys,
I'm
how
here
does the
to
sound
make
sound?
sure the people on the stage share the airtime. So looking at you guys.
Sound good?
And also to make sure we get to as many of your questions as possible tonight. We're excited that you're all here. This is an important conversation, and we're looking forward to the things that we get to talk about and share about tonight. Tonight is an information session focused on providing information and answering questions. More events will be offered in the future, and some of those events will have more of an opportunity for give and take in the conversation.
We sure hope they will be.
The school district wanted to give a chance to share as honestly and transparently as they can of what they're doing in the schools. So before we get started, I would love to do a little audience participation and just ask, stand or raise your hand if you're currently a student in the Exeter Public School System. All right, we got some folks in the back.
I'm not sure what you can do to fight it. I'm sorry to hear that, but I recommend contacting a lawyer.
Not yet. If we can have quiet.
Yes, quiet. This is a serious conversation.
Okay. So what I'm going to ask is, we're going to give people a couple of chances to please be quiet and be respectful. We really want everyone to be able to stay in the room. We're not making the decision whether someone leaves. The police are.
It's a good question.
But we will call them in if we need to. They're very nearby. But our hope is
the police are on standby.
Is that everyone is able to stay and be respectful and listen and participate. Tonight is a time of listening so that we can hear from the school district and get to as many of your questions as possible. So I'll keep going. I wanted the raised hands or stand of the students, the current students in the Exeter schools. So if folks will raise their hand or stand, that would be great. And then I want to add to that anyone who's ever attended school in SAU 16 in the past. So stand or raise those hands. Awesome. And I'd love to see anyone who lives or works in Exeter and SAU 16 communities. Wonderful, wonderful. And if you care about all our kids in the community, please wave your hands excitedly and with passion.
Goddamn right they are.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
If you care about the children, raise your hand.
I want to just let you have a sense of what it's going to look like today. Our initial presentation was built on a lot of the questions that people have sent in, not only for this event, but in the last couple of months. So they've tried to compile all the questions that came through, so they're trying to address those. And after that, we're inviting more questions.
I'll put the link in the chat.
As things occur to you, as folks are talking, please write that down on your card. We'll be sending folks around to pick those up. And the whole last half hour is really devoted to just getting through as many of those cards as possible. One of the things I just want to cover, you know, it's a hard time. My family's a mix. My family is a full political mix. The United States is a mix. We are a mix. So we can do this. We can be in this room and we can listen to each other respectfully, and I know that we can do it. So please keep in mind that this is, I believe it. Thank you, I believe it. So this first hour, we are listening. We're trying to listen to the school district, hear from them, hear what they're trying to do.
A lot of white people in that room.
Where people agree and disagree, and that's okay. We just ask that we're respectful of the views and experiences of others. Please allow the panelists to be heard. We look forward to your questions in the last half hour, and there will be future events, and they will have a little more time for dialogue in future events.
We certainly hope so.
So much for being here. We know you're here because you care. That's one thing I bet you all have in common. So I'm going to get started by asking on the far end for our panelists just to introduce yourselves. Just say your name and role, and we'll come this way. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jake Goodwin, and I work as a 6th grade social studies teacher at the Cooperative Middle School.
I'm Beth Caputa. I am a social studies teacher at Exeter High School. I am also a parent. My kids all are at Exeter High School right now.
I'm Katie Gallo. I am the curriculum coordinator at Swayze Central School.
Hi, folks. Name's Adam Kraus. I'm the Extended Learning Opportunities Coordinator here at EHS, and prior to that, I was a social studies teacher.
My name is David Ryan. I'm the superintendent of schools here in SAU 16.
Hey everyone, my name is Kevin Pajaro Marinas and I'm the Assistant Director of Equity and Inclusion at Phillips Exeter Academy.
Assistant Director of Equity and Inclusion at Phillips Exeter.
Fan club. Fan club.
Okay.
Hola everyone.
Which means they also have a director.
I am the Director of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Justice for the Cooperative School District.
Oh. Yes, you have a job. Studying it brave, studying it brave, studying it brave.
My name is Ken Mendes, and I chair the Board of Directors of the Racial Unity Team. I'm a resident of Stratham.
Thank you.
Yeah, no pronouns.
Thank you very much. And I believe I am passing it off now to Andre.
They haven't even done a land blessing. No pronouns, no land blessing. What kind of equity meeting is this?
All right. Thank you. Can everyone hear that okay?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank y'all for showing up tonight. My name is, like I mentioned, my name is Andres Mejia. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm going to start off by just
bingo pronouns.
Our DEIJ vision statement. SAU 16 creates and sustains a trusting, diverse, inclusive school community where all are welcomed, valued, and empowered.
We reject bigotry in all its forms.
And outcomes for all learners through anti-oppressive mindsets and curriculum that centers positive identity development, empathy, and justice in a stewardship of our global community. So we want to take the time to go over the definitions of DEIJ so that we have it in our space. The definition for diversity is the sum of the many ways
tables
that
are
people
segregated.
are alike and different, both individually and as groups. Equity, the allocation of the exact resources and opportunities needed to reach an equal outcome for all people. Inclusion, when all members of the school community purposefully work to remove physical, curricula, emotional, socio-economical, communication, or cultural barriers for all students,
emotional
regardless of their learning
barriers
preferences or background experiences.
We're including emotional barriers and inclusion now.
Opportunities in an equitable manner. Inclusion occurs when the whole school community accepts and celebrates everyone's differences, whether it be neurodiversity,
equal outcome drink,
diversity, or ethical diversity. Justice, the systemic and structural fair treatment of people of all identities that results in equitable opportunities and outcomes for everyone.
That's how we're defining justice? Are you shitting me? Okay.
So we wanted to just share a little bit, it's going to be quick, about HB2 and CRT.
Yes, let's hear the lies. Do it.
DEIJ vision and efforts will obey the HB2 law. And we also wanted to distinguish the difference. That's why we shared the definitions of DEIJ.
We are not teaching CRT.
We are not teaching CRT.
No, you are practicing CRT, motherfucker.
Defines CRT as an intellectual movement and loosely organized framework of legal
That is not the definition of CRT. I'm not letting him speak. He is not giving the correct definition of CRT. He is lying. That is not what critical race theory is.
Exploit people of color. Critical race theorists hold that the law and legal institutions in the United States are inherent.
I'm going to mute him real quick, just as a reminder that if they are teaching equity in any form, they are teaching critical race theory. The two are interchangeable. You can't get rid of the two. They're lying when they're saying they're not teaching critical race theory.
So we just wanted to share definitions. The only time we are going to mention CRT, because we just want to let you know that, DEIJ is not CRT. Put that out there.
It is. You're a liar. Liar, liar, pants
so
on
I'm
fire.
So I'm going to share a couple of a motto, and then talk a little bit about culture.
And you're not liar because you're a person of color. You are a liar because you are a liar.
And the paradox differences will start at the top. I am like all people. So all of us in this room, have something in common. All of us are alike.
Equitable
in some way.
outcomes.
We just all raised our hand that
Communism.
We cared about students. That's something we're all passionate about. We're all in this space for. We all have hearts. We're all like someone like each other in this space. And then we are like some people. You know, I am like some of you, and some of you are like each other. Some of us like playing football, you know, some of us don't. You know, some of us work in the middle school, some of us work in the high school. So that we connect to some people in this space. And it doesn't matter if you're like everyone, we all have hearts, we all care for students. Doesn't matter if some of you work in the middle school or the high school, you are still like no other person. You are your unique self. So
You are a
even if
unique and
we feel
glorious
like we live on
snowflake.
the same street, you know, we work in the same place, we eat the same foods, we still have our own unique experiences in our own lives. So we just wanted to put this out there, the paradox of differences, because at times when we're listening to each other, when we're talking to each other, when we're in spaces and holding spaces with each other, we're all at these different parts. Some of us are looking through a lens of I am like all people. Some of us are looking through a lens like I am like no other person. And all those type of lenses are coming into the space. So we have to just understand this so that we know that when some of us are talking, it's coming from that place.
If the
When some of us
entire
are
crowd
listening,
breaks into
thinking,
snaps
it's
at some
coming from
point, you all get to
different places as
pick out a free bingo square.
I want to share this quote. We simply assume that the way we see things and the way that they really are, or the way they should be, are the way they should be. And our attitudes and behaviors grow out of these assumptions.
No disagreement allowed. That's why they have the cops, in case anyone disagrees.
So I'm going to give a definition about culture because, you know, we all have culture. Values, attitudes, and beliefs of a group of people demonstrated through collective norms, which are both expected and accepted by that group of people. That can be attitudes, beliefs, language, customs, rituals, faith, behavior, art, drama, music, and food, which we all love.
Don't forget food.
Food is cultural appropriation, sorry.
So no matter where you live, you are working with and establishing relationships with people who all have cultures. Culture refers to a group or community which shares common experiences that shape the way its members understand the world. It includes groups that were born into such as national origin, gender, class, or religion. It can also include a group we join or become part of. For example, it is possible to acquire a new culture by moving to a new country or region.
I really hope they aren't
by
just going to read
changing our
off the
economic
slides.
status or by becoming disabled. When we think of culture this broadly, we realize
Well, they
we
claim they're not
we all
teaching
belong to many
CRT, but
cultures at once.
it was not fully banned in New Hampshire. Governor Sununu fucked that up for
Even
us.
if you don't know who your ancestors are, you have a culture. Even if you are a mix of many cultures, you have one. Cultures evolve and changes all the time. It came from your ancestors from many generations ago, and it comes from your family and community today. In addition to the cultural groups we belong to, we also each have groups we identify with, such as being a parent, an athlete, a small business owner, an academic discipline, or a member of an organization. These kinds of groups, although not exactly the same as culture, have similarities to cultural groups. For example, being a parent or faith traditions may be an identity that influences how you view the world and how the world views you. Becoming aware of your different identities can help you understand what it might be like to belong to a cultural group. All right. So we're going to move on to YDIJ.
DIEJ. You forgot the E. You
Say
forgot
it
the
again. Oh, sorry. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice. Thank you. So YDIJ, students from all backgrounds, race, sex, gender, ability, disability, economic background, etc., can all participate in an education that will allow them to perform academic excellence at their highest level of learning. Instilling deep self-reflection about how they engage with themselves and others. A global perspective
deep
that will
reflection
build our
about how
students
they
to
engage with
transition into
themselves and
different
others.
communities and environments that they may experience throughout the course of their lives. All students feeling like they belong are building relationships and working as a community to help each other grow. And then DIJ can help with the mental health of students and educators. The more we let others know that we want them included and they belong, the more they feel that they're part of it.
Actually, people of your political persuasion have been shown to have significantly more mental health issues than people on the right. Significantly more, not a little, a lot.
In the next couple of slides, we're gonna.
So that's
provide
not true.
a
This
few
is not for
examples of
mental
what,
health. This impairs mental health.
DEIJ can look like for
False.
students, for teachers, for administrators, for parents and community members. So DEIJ for students can look like youth voice, student-led conferences, learning exchanges, opportunity for dialogue. So that's holding space in the schools where students can learn from each other's different perspectives, sharing their own narratives, supporting student organizations.
Isn't it interesting
So
how they call
organizations that are
things
already there in
narratives?
place and building new student
As
organizations
though they
to just
know
help the
things are being
students,
falsely
you know,
constructed.
be part of an
I'm going to
organization
share
that they
my
have a
own
passion
narrative.
for. We have the portrait of a graduate. And then we will be working with organizations, consultants, and educators who are experts in working with different grades K through 12 around DEIJ. So, you know, not all of us up here know everything about all the grades, but we will be pulling in the people who are experts in that space to help us work in all the different grades around DEIJ. And anyone feel free to jump in if you want to say if I miss anything in any of the parts, or I can move on. All right. DEIJ for teachers. We have professional learning circles, making sure a variety of perspectives, walks of life, and history is being taught in the classrooms. Representation. So what does that look like to have teachers that represent all students in the school? And where we get to that is recruitment and retention of a diverse pool of educators.
We live in New Hampshire.
Tapping into professional networks.
We live in New
building relationships with
Hampshire.
University education graduate programs so that we can also recruit from those programs. Professional development opportunities, the portrait of an educator, support for educators through this process. So there will be support.
What does that even mean?
I don't want to, just put it out there that we're not just throwing teachers in this. There has been support, and there will
What
be
is it?
support. And
Explain
I'm
to us what it
super
is.
excited that I'll be
What
able to
support
work
have you given
with
to the teachers? What education have you given to the
support them
teachers?
through
What
this
have you done for the
process.
teacher circles, the learning
Move
circles?
at the pace of the teachers around DEIJ.
They're not saying
So
anything.
It's not, you have to do this, you have to do it now. We will be moving at what works for the teachers. How do they want to learn it? How do they want to use it?
That's not
and
actually
we'll
how
work
training
together.
works.
And then we have the school DEIJ teams that are already in place. And it's just working with those groups to just help them navigate the process. Before we move on, though, I do want to turn over to the other table. We have some educators and teachers over there who want to share some experiences.
At the segregated
of how,
table. The tables are
they
segregated.
use the
They're already
DEIJ
implementing
lens,
segregation in New
in
Hampshire
their
schools.
spaces with their students and in their schools. Anyone can start?
All right, so good to be with you all again, folks. Yep, that's working nice. One of the great things that I think is,
Soy.
at least I always like to go back to when I'm thinking about this work in DEIJ is just how broad the lens of DEIJ is, and just how encompassing it is, whether on the micro or macro levels, individual, social, political, economic, historical, contemporary. It really seems to encompass so much. But at the core of it, I seem to always come back, probably to no surprise, with this idea of equity. So for me, equity is a few things, but if I were to put a synonym on it, I would probably go with access.
No,
and entry
wrong.
points and how we
Wrong.
get from where we are to where we want to be. So you could, I'm sure, imagine, why we're up here doing this in the educational context then. So when we think of access, I think of power, the power that someone's
Power,
going to gain
bingo word, bing,
by
bing,
gaining
ding.
that
Drink,
access and
drink.
and the empowerment that they'll feel and need to feel to do that, and also perhaps what can get in the way of experiencing that power, and how we can create opportunities and address those
Equity
those barriers.
is
And in
about
school,
what
they
gets
could
in the
be
way of
anything
holding
from schedule
power.
to interest barriers.
Critical
to
race theory
finding
is not about race, it's
transportation,
about power.
to even having models of who you want to be or what you want to do or try on. So this is, so it really does come down to a very individual level and what that student wants, what their passions are, and what their needs are and where they are on their own pathway and their continuum. So this is where, for me, it's really an awesome opportunity every day to put on that ELO Extended Learning Opportunities Coordinator hat, I'm proud to say that I think I can pull on some examples with colleagues from prior to ELO
Like
work.
what?
And I apologize if this is going to sound like a quick pitch on ELOs. It's really not about that, but it really all does sync up. And you should know, just since I said it'll be a little bit of a pitch, that students can earn credits for these extended learning opportunities experiences, but really ELOs are about like wrapping the system around the student. So you may call it, you may hear it as student-centered learning. Fortunately, that doesn't just happen in ELO world here at
That's
EHS.
code for critical race theory,
broad-based.
student-centered learning,
But
code for
that
critical
is really
race theory.
my entry point these days for thinking about the DEIJ
They're
lens
changing
in context
the name of it.
EHS at
That's
least.
critical race theory.
And I'll just close on thinking on connecting a little bit to some things that Andreas highlighted, because when you put the system around the student like that and really see DEIJ as something about gaining access and power and student-centered learning, you really begin thinking about the following things like individual pathways, those high expectations around academic excellence. Self-reflection is such an integral part of any experiential learning experience like ELOs. Supporting students.
So I'm just going to mute him real quick just to point out, I don't know if you guys caught this, but he literally said that they were giving students extra credit for doing this sort of thing. So they're incentivizing students to participate in their little indoctrination program by giving them extra credit. Okay.
Of course, the well-being that we hope, is cultivated in that process. So happy to go into it more, sharing examples. I'll make some time for others though.
This year, my DEIJ committee focused on the words diversity and inclusion. We did what we call the inner work to understand what diversity means in the context of the SAU 16 community, America, and the world at large. This framework allowed us to define diversity and begin to see who was already included or present in the curricula and on our school's walls, as well as who is missing from those things. Through this newfound learning, we considered the pictures, memorabilia, posters, and signs on our school's walls, as well as the books we choose to teach in our classroom. Who we choose to include, center, and represent on our school's walls and in our curricula inevitably sends a message to our students that these individuals or groups of people are important and deserve both recognition and our collective attention.
I wonder when she's going to give up her job so a Black trans woman of color can have it.
And decenter also sends an equal and opposite message to our students that those individuals and groups of people are not important and don't deserve attention. We call this making the invisible visible. We asked ourselves the following questions. Whose voices, perspectives, and experiences are heard, seen, and centered? We also asked whose voices, perspectives, or experiences are missing and marginalized. As a group, we co-created a list of vetted books that sought to include multiple people and identities so that students could have their experiences affirmed while also learning about others. Our students deserve to learn about themselves and the beautiful diversity that makes us collectively human. This
Stunning and brave. Stunning and brave. I still want to know what list of books they approved, because they never give out details, do they? Never give out details.
This list also seeks to help teachers include more diversity in their teaching materials and on their classroom walls. When we, as adults, validate students and others' identities or life experiences, we're validating everyone's humanity. To respect one another, we need to see each other's whole selves and all that we bring to our community. When students feel safe in our schools, it increases their self-efficacy and their sense of belonging. As multiple studies have proven, there is a strong correlation between having a sense of belonging at a school and academic success and achievement. In this way, DEIJ does not detract from academics.
Yes, it
Instead,
does.
This lens enhances our students' ability to empathize with others, think critically about the world around them, and solve the
No.
complex local and global problems we all face today.
No.
These are critical characteristics to our collective future joy as human beings.
Our future joy as human beings. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Our future joy as human beings? What the hell? That's beautiful. That's stunning and brave.
I wish I had sat on the other side of her. So I teach 9th grade at EHS. I teach world history. And this year, because I had to kind of recreate my classroom several times.
You might be right, Sean. You might be right.
So I teach 9th grade, and I had to recreate my class. Catch you up for those who couldn't hear me. I had to recreate my classroom several times, whether I was teaching from my living room or teaching, half of my kids at a time, or when everybody got back together and I still had remote kids. So I took that opportunity to really think about, I had to think about, what am I going to do and how am I going to do it? So it seemed like the perfect opportunity to use a DEIJ lens. And, I was reevaluating everything. So I tried to think about specific ideas. Whenever I assigned any reading or assignment, I had to think about 4 things I really thought about. One was access. Will all of my students have access to this material?
Not
So
her
thinking about
kids.
reading levels,
Not
accommodations.
her
if there's,
kids.
Speech to text, text to speech, that kind of thing. Is it accessible to everybody in the classroom? If not, what am I going to do to fix that? I also thought about the projects that we're doing. I know as a parent, the Sunday night, Michael's runs because there's a project due tomorrow. I wanted to make sure that kids that didn't have access to somebody who could, swing them by Michael's every weekend, it wouldn't be at a disadvantage with the projects that I was assigning. So making sure that things that I was doing was really about content and not about
Exeter School District is 88%
what
white,
you could
2%
bring,
black,
what
3%
external things you
Hispanic,
could
3%
bring,
Asian, and
to
1%
the
Indian
materials
for
and stuff
reference.
like
That's
that.
Native American, Sean,
Being
not
digital
Indian,
certainly
you
gives
bigot.
everybody, makes that a little bit easier now that at the high school everybody has a Chromebook. That kind of was a nice way to work with that. And I also looked at student agency. How can the students have a voice in what they're doing? So how can they choose how they're going to present their material? Where can I give them those options? I teach world history. I'm supposed to teach 4,000 years of history of the whole world, right? I have to leave stuff out. So it works really well that then I give, there's plenty of stuff I haven't covered.
Oh, you mean they still teach world history? Because I really wasn't sure, to be honest.
What do you think I should have taught you? And you teach me it instead. And so those very student-centered things are always at the forefront. And then I started thinking about,
she just said she asked her students what the students think that they should be taught.
Who are the experts that I'm bringing to them, telling them that they should be listening
Who are the experts indeed?
Listening to. And there was one point towards the end of the year, we were talking about the Belgian Congo during our imperialism unit. And I was going to show this video that I've showed for the last 5 years because it fits in 50 minutes. It's perfect. And as I watched it again to make sure that it would
She
work
just said she picked out a video because it's the
realized
time length of the
every one
classroom, of the
experts
class.
was is European and Western. There was no point where anybody who was Congolese was telling their own story. And I thought, I can't show this. It's next week. I have to find something else. And I did. I was able to find another video that gave all the accurate history, but it gave a voice to a variety of people. And that's what I want my students to hear. I want them to hear from as many perspectives as possible, because I feel like my job is to ask them questions to ponder and teach them how to find evidence, and then have them come to their own answers, because there's no one canon of right or wrong. I want them to know how to think. I want them to know how to draw their own conclusions, to find the evidence for that. But in the process, I want to expose them to as many different perspectives on things as possible. So that's what we started last year. I'm pretty proud of what we did, and I hope to continue doing that kind of work.
Thank you, Andrew Zarkai, for that. She's so put upon as a teacher. She actually has to find stuff.
Hi, everyone.
To teach. Oh, God.
I'm Jake Goodwin. As I said before, I'm a 6th grade social studies teacher. I'm also the co-coach of the unified basketball team at CMS. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and extend a very warm welcome to Andres. We're so excited for him to be joining our community. And
Excuse me, Jake, I just need to interrupt. I'd be remiss in not recognizing Jake Goodwin as this year's New Hampshire Social Studies Teacher of the Year.
I am literally shocked they gave it to a white man. But okay, whatever. Congratulations, Jake. Let's hear about what you got that award for.
Thank you.
Lots to be proud of.
So in my time this past year, we had the opportunity to work with Andres and his colleague Carrie and New Hampshire Listens. And working with us, Andres, I just left every
New Hampshire
meeting
Listens?
with him
What's
with
that?
so much new information, new learnings, new skills, new conversations to have with colleagues. And I know my colleagues in other districts, when I told them that Andres was going to be the director of DIG at our district, they were just envious. And they were like, oh my gosh, you guys are so lucky. So
No, they weren't. That's a lie.
we
No,
know
they weren't.
we have immense amount of respect
no
for
one
Andres
did
and his
that.
work and dedication to young people.
That didn't happen.
As a unified basketball
Things that didn't
coach,
happen for 100.
We engage students who are identified for special ed and also students who are non-identified. And we engage them in a peer-to-peer learning model.
Sean,
And
that
we
almost
like
made
to
me spit.
say that we all have something to teach and something to learn from one another in that setting. And I have to say that in my time working with those students, you can see how much everyone learns from one another, how much I've learned from them. As a classroom teacher, I feel the same way. Each student has a unique gift to contribute to our community. And in one unit in this past year, students considered how to create a more inclusive school. And each had unique
They considered
insights
how to
on what
create a
was
more
going
inclusive
well
school
and
as an
where
assignment.
we could do even better.
Okay.
And we further refined our ideas by speaking with people who had moved to New Hampshire from outside of the United States. And many of these people, including parents of students, were involved in creating welcoming spaces in New Hampshire. And students appreciated their time, their generosity so much. And in the end, students shared their thoughtful and caring recommendations for how to improve our school. While also recognizing the great work that's already underway in so many classrooms.
Words are violent,
and so many
Sean.
opportunities that are provided across our school. And in classrooms and on the court, the whole community benefits when diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice are present. And I know, speaking for myself and so many other teachers, that we're just so grateful that we're going to have Andres by our side in this important work going forward. Thank you.
If you think that he's just kissing Andreas's ass, please mount that like button. If you think he had no warm fuzzy feelings about Andreas, please mount that like button for me.
Well, thank you very much. Very, very proud of our staff and the things that they're doing in our classrooms relative to equity and justice. I just want to talk a minute about our approach to administration using a DEIJ lens. There's been a lot of talk, whether it be in the news, whether it be local, whether it be in my inbox or on my voicemail, about the political aspect or political framework around the work that we're doing. Whether people wish to believe us when we say there's no political agenda or not.
There is a political agenda. That is a lie.
The work that we're doing because it's the right work to do.
It is
there is
Marxist.
No political agenda.
Liar. Lying liar. Lying liar.
When I started in SAU 16, originally hired in March of 2018 and then started July of 2018, we announced an academic convocation on the very first day when teachers returned. We assembled in this auditorium and we had a very open conversation at the start of school about some of the things that we wanted to work
Look how dead
towards.
his eyes look.
And this event and the work
that
our
is the look of
teachers have just
indoctrination.
shared,
That
and
is
the
the look of a
work
white
that,
man who has
these
been
folks are
beaten into
doing
submission
is
by doing the
exactly
work.
what we shared on that very first day. It was our vision for how are we going to improve our growth and our student growth. So growth is a system, and student
Growth.
growth from a cognitive or
work.
academic perspective,
That's what that's from.
an emotional perspective,
Schools should not be
physical
responsible for the
perspective,
emotional growth of
and a
students.
social
Pass it on.
perspective. And
No.
when we use DEIJ as the framework and the lens, all we're trying to do is help students grow by becoming more self-aware of who they are, becoming more respectful of the differences that others bring to their space, and then ultimately helping our students recognize that those differences are going to exist, but they're going to coexist because they do have more in common than they have differently. And not all of our students stay in Exeter or Stratham or Newfields or any of the towns in the surrounding area for their entire lives. They do leave the Seacoast region. They leave the state, they leave New
And
England,
they need to learn how to
they
be
leave the
around
country.
non-white people.
And in order for us
We don't
to
give them
be
that
morally
opportunity in New Hampshire.
obligated or committed to our roles as educators and this commitment to growth of students, we have to be able to provide some opportunities and experiences for all of our students to experience a little bit of grit and resilience so they know that when the adversity is there, they can overcome it.
Oh, please.
But they also need to be able to recognize that they're living in a bubble and we want to break that bubble for them.
Wow.
Students who move to different parts of the country, different cities, different universities and colleges, they're going to experience a number of different opportunities to interact with people who are very different from them. Thank God. And what we want to be able to do is give them the tools to be introspective and consider.
They're not interacting with people who are different than them in New Hampshire?
Because it shouldn't be the very first time.
Because the only ways that we're different is the color of our skin.
And a language
That's the
other
only
than
ways that
English
we're different.
is being spoken fluently, not as a course, but by the people, the very people that he or she is going to be sitting next to. So from an administrative perspective, we approach that as our obligation to ensure we're preparing students through a rigorous academic program that prepares them for what the world is going to offer them so they can be productive global citizens. Now, in a democracy, that's what schools are supposed to be doing. So that's exactly what we're trying to do. Not from a political
Equity-centered leadership. That slide says equity-centered leadership. That means critical race theory, equality of outcomes.
To ensure we're doing everything that we can for our students so that when they do go off, they come back and they share that and they enrich our community as well. So how we're doing that, these learning exchanges,
details,
these opportunities that we're able to ultimately arrive at a point where we're all going to be able to talk with each other, not at and not to, but with. We're going to exchange those ideas with our students in the center and with them in mind, because that's the whole focus of our work. If we're coming to these conversations with other agenda or we're coming with other motives, it's not going to work. We're actually going to do damage to what our students are going to be able to do.
You're already doing damage to what your students are doing if you have equity-centered leadership.
We're taking a look at our leadership practices and have been for the last few years. Something as simple as setting up a schedule for SST, for those of you that don't know what that is, that's Seacoast School of Technology. It's our CTE program. We have 6 school districts in this region who send students to us, almost 800 students. We have students who are unable to attend any CTE programs because at their home school, there are courses that they need to take that are required for their core curriculum. So we do have students who are passionate about getting into the construction trades, health science technology, culinary, vet tech, any one of the programs we have at SST.
And those students are smart.
But because we're unable or we haven't been able
and
to
you're going to
figure out
ruin
a
them
better
with
way to
equity.
organize a schedule in one of our 6 sending high schools so that we can make sure students are achieving their passion, that's an equity issue. That's a problem. And that's something that we have to fix.
That's not an equity issue.
And the only way that we're going to be able to do that as leadership is to, 1, recognize and name the problem, find solutions, and then implement it. Sometimes that means it's a really hard decision. And sometimes that means appearing before an audience and saying things that aren't very popular but are always in the best interest of the students. And so that's the work that we've started to do as administration. The other is with the Anti-Discrimination Task Force that we started as a result of SB 263. Mr. Mendes is going to talk a little bit about that. but examining policies that we have in the SAU at this time, whether they be in the cooperative school district or any of the other sending 6 school districts, is what policies do we have that do marginalize certain populations? Immediately everybody
What
goes to
populations?
race.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, we're concerned about race, but we're also concerned about students and where they live and their demographic and what they have at home, whether they be affluent or not, whether they have two family members or 2 guardians at home or not. A lot of our students, they live in homes where parents are working quite a bit, and so they don't have that parent support at home. How are we supporting them, and what are we doing within our own structure?
Drink every
make
time you
sure
hear the
we're
word
supporting
work.
them?
I
A
support
homework
this strategy.
policy. Is it a fair policy for students who can't afford to have online learning or remote learning or even just basic Wi-Fi? Is it fair to impose a homework policy where there's no one at home to provide that support for that student? How are we addressing that? So this is the framework that
Like
our
you
leaders
care
are
what the
starting to
parents
take,
do
or
or
have been
think.
for
Come
quite some
on.
time. This work started well before I arrived. I credit Exeter Elementary Schools, both Lincoln Street and Main Street, for really getting this work off the ground well over 5 years ago.
Exeter
The parent
Elementary
community at Exeter,
School.
who asked for that to happen, is now where we are today.
They are being led by the equity work of the elementary school.
When we're working through DEIJ, it's not code.
It is.
It's just basically helping everyone, particularly our students, recognize, and the word humanity.
If you have
is
kids
really
in
the
this
most
school
important
district,
word I
you
heard
need to be
from
on
our
the school's
friends
ass
across the
finding out what they're
stage
teaching. I'm
of how
deadly
they fit
serious.
into
Look at the
humanity
elementary
and how they
schools.
can enrich their community.
Do information
By being
requests around the
respectful,
teacher
understanding
emails.
themselves, and learning to understand the differences that people bring that makes everybody whole. And so I'm glad that you're here. I'm really happy that we had such a great turnout. I'm super, super proud of the work that we've already been able to do with Andreas and the connection of our community-based organizations that are not just up at this table and with Michelle, but also within the audience. This tells me something. This tells me that there is a community that wants to move forward with this. And I'll say this. It was very easy for me and our administrative team to recognize the progressive nature of this particular region of the state. That we're able to have these
But there's no political agenda.
thoughtful, and intelligent
You recognize the
discussions
progressive nature
because
of this
community wants
region.
to have that.
But there's no political agenda.
I'm really pleased
You
by
just
this.
happen to
I'm
have
very
a
proud of the work
progressive
we're doing.
population
We will
in
continue to
Exeter.
do this work, and I can't thank you enough for being
But there's no political agenda. Okay, I'm just gonna mute this real quick. If you have kids in the Exeter school district or where they are, you need to do freedom of information requests to find out what they're teaching for real.
15 more minutes so that we can give the full 30 to all the questions.
All right. So let me take a minute or two, and then I'll pass it on to y'all to speak. Yeah, I'll go first. Yeah. All right. So, part of DEIJ, parents and community members, guardians are all included in DEIJ in our districts. So we just want to put that out there.
dude.
That looks like engagement opportunities, similar to the information session we're having tonight. Somewhere down the line, having more opportunities where we're actually sitting down and talking with each other, like Dave mentioned earlier, listening sessions, learning exchanges, more opportunities to learn about what these terms mean, what we mean by DEIJ, and what we're given in the schools to teachers, students, and administrators. And then, what it also looks like is making sure we have, we're making the space for parents from all backgrounds. Dave mentioned parents to participate in this space. Parents who have, have multiple jobs, parents who speak different languages, community members who, can't show up to board meetings. How do we make more opportunities so that they can still be participating in the work that we're doing? We can hear from them, and they can hear what we're doing for the schools. So I want to put that out there. Before I move on, I just want to share, that with all this, I just want to be clear. There is no DEIJ curriculum. We don't have a curriculum in the schools. Everything we explained today, this is what DEIJ
I'm
is.
doing freedom of information requests on
But
all
there's no
your emails,
curriculum, and,
Andreas.
I
You
wanna
can
end
count
with,
on that.
DEIJ is acknowledging that all our differences make
Or
us
right
a
to know
whole.
requests,
We will be
whatever
a
they're
school
called.
community that celebrates people's differences, that exemplifies that everyone's differences have a home in SAU 16. All right. So I'm going to go ahead
I'm gonna
and
get all
pass
your
it over
emails.
to,
I'm gonna get all your emails.
first.
I'm gonna get all your emails. We're gonna find out if you're teaching this. 'Cause it's gonna be in your emails. And you have a right to ask for this information, guys.
Can you all hear me okay? Well, that's loud. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I wanted to name that I've been a member of the Exeter community as of like 2 days ago for 5 months. So shout outs to me. And I say that purposely because I want to come in letting you all know that I am committed as a member of this community, and that's why I think I was invited up here today. So just a little bit about me. My name is Kevin Pájaro Mariñas, so I put the phonetics there, so it's pájaro, not pajamas, not pajero. You'd be surprised. And I serve as the Assistant Director of Equity and Inclusion over at Phillips Exeter down the street. And so the way that I like to describe my role to people is my job is essentially tackling what I think are 3 pillars, right? So fundamentally, my role, first and foremost, is to serve students. I think about the student experience as intentionally as I can, and think about in what ways
doing a shout out to yourself is like the most Gen Z thing ever.
The ways that I engage with folks, how is that impacting students and their ability to thrive at the school? Second, the second pillar is addressing professional staff and the adults in the community, right? In what ways am I providing learning opportunities, moments of growth, moments of deep critical reflection through the different things that I implement with the help of my supervisor and other offices on the Phillips Exeter campus. And then lastly, and I think most importantly, is the community-based piece, right? So it's really easy to be incubated in a space where I work and not think about the real life things happening to people outside of Phillips Exeter Academy. So that's why being here actually means a lot to me, because I'm able to interact with folks who don't see me on a day-to-day, and for you all to know that you have a resource also outside of your immediate vicinity. And so I'm gonna have Andres shift to the next slide real quick. And I just wanted to talk about something super tangible that I do so that y'all can get a sense of what my role is. So once a month, I do what's called Jedi Talks, which was started by my supervisor and then handed down to me, which I love doing it. So this is actually one of the first ones that I ever did. So context, these once a month conversations are about 20, 30 minutes of me facilitating a convo. And then the 30 minutes after that are people breaking out into Zoom rooms, right? Because we're doing it virtually. And folks are just sitting with what was just presented. How are you feeling? What ideas and tensions are you working through? And I think that opportunity to process in community with each other is important. And so this topic that you see up here called the collective effort, navigating accountability, shame, and harm in social justice spaces, I think is actually really timely for the space that we're in right now, right? I think a lot of people talk about what does accountability mean and how do you hold X person or X entity accountable, right? So what I did in this conversation was really talk about accountability from a lens of it has to be a mutually beneficial process that is consented to, right? And in order for that to happen, you actually have to build relationships. So the fact that the room is as filled up as it is today shows that there's an investment in wanting to build community. But also what I tell people is that community is not this linear, amazing thing. We're gonna kumbaya after this and like hold hands, right? There's actually a lot of messiness that comes with building community. And I think it's important not to stray away from that. And so in order to have community that is both messy and transformative, we have to have a mutually agreed upon investment.
Why are we transforming the community?
Or accomplish, which
you've only lived in this community for 5 months, dude. Why are we transforming the community?
For the students that we're serving in some capacity, right? As community members, as teachers, as workers, whatever the case may be. So
I'm sure you care about the workers.
That's just a little bit of my role, and
sure
for the sake of time, I'm going to move on. But I just want to let y'all know that I am a resource. So if folks want to be in community with me, be in conversation with me, you want to build a relationship with me, I'm here. You can come after this to me, and I can give you my business card on my contact info. So thank you so much for having me.
All right, before we move on to Ken, I just want to take 30 seconds. I skipped this slide, but I think it's important because it was part of some of the questions people emailed in. So materials we're using to do DEIJ work in the schools is materials from workshops, conferences, books, scholarly research, my expertise of many years of experience doing DEIJ work across the state. And then our partners, we just want to put out there that are helping us in this work. We have them here on stage. Two Revs, Racial Unity Team, New Hampshire Listens, the Carsey School of Public Policy at UNH, and the Office of Equity and Inclusion at Phillips Exeter. Just want to give a shout out.
So if you'll recall,
right.
we've done
All right,
several
you said the last
webinars
of the
about
best.
how woke UNH is.
The Racial Unity Team is a community-based organization. We are a nonprofit, volunteer organization. It's, just want to put that out there because we volunteer our services to the schools, and there's no charge to the taxpayer for that. Our vision is to advance relationships among people of different racial identities, increase understanding, and reduce bias in our community. So we work very well in the community, trying to build bridges. Our vision is to lay a foundation for developing racial understanding by establishing a transformational goal of developing communities that promote racial diversity and understanding. And we concentrate a lot on education.
Hang on.
How many of you have heard about the Racial Unity Team?
Oh, they're going to figure it out
Raise your
sooner or
hand.
later.
Wow, thank you. Thank you.
Everyone mount that
Next
like
slide,
button
please.
if you want me
We've
to have
been
way more
around
likes
for
than they
almost
do.
6.5
Mount that like button,
years,
please.
And this is a slide to show you a lot of what we're doing. We started off in Exeter, Walk a Mile for Racial Unity. Some of you may have heard of that. Now that has become a Black Heritage Trail event. Black Heritage Trail holds tours of Exeter using some of the sites. And of course, credit goes to the Historical Society. Barbara has done a wonderful job of pulling that information together for us. Throughout the years, we've held Culture Keepers, Culture Makers when we got our first grant. And as time progressed and COVID set in, we began to become very remote in our work. We've done a lot of working with the School Board of Education. And some of our important, next slide, yeah. We support the Governor's Advisory Council. Rogers Johnson and I were very close, and we had a lot of discussions about how to address certain issues, and he constantly bounced things off of him, and we had a good relationship. Redefining New Hampshire, redrafting New Hampshire social studies standards. If you remember 3 years ago, they were going to redraft it. We got ourselves involved.
Thank you, Bebop. Appreciate it.
Desk for at least almost a year and a half. I've been trying to push, lobby, do all kinds of things to get it off his desk so he can get it to the community to review, right? Because they can't send it out without a community review. So look out for that. Talk to your congressmen and senators to get them to move that. Because what we hope to see happen there is an update to the social studies curriculum to include missing history. And we know there's missing history in this.
Missing history. Okay.
We also lobby with a lot of, to make sure the Senate bills, and here are some examples, but the one that Dr. Ryan talked about, Senate Bill 263. Now, Senate Bill 263 is a very interesting bill because what it says is that schools must have a safe place for all children. And what's in the bill
Define safe.
The child or parent of a child feels that the child is not safe, whether they are tormented or bullied or things like that, the school district can be sued. Now that means our taxes go up, right? So we've been working very closely with Dr.
I'm going to have to look into what that means, but I just want to point out, Josh, oh my gosh, is making a good point. Like, what nonprofit means is just that you don't turn a profit at the end of the year. That's all that nonprofit means.
Into trouble, and we serve all parents. I want to share with you, given I'm at last and therefore have very little time, an exercise of taking you into the classroom. Now, we worked with 3 teachers in the classroom. They had a project where their students read To Kill a Mockingbird, Harper Lee's book, and they've been reading it for almost 10 years. But what was interesting is the teachers got together and said, we need to have a lens where we can look at diversity, equity, and inclusion. And from that perspective, they raised questions for the students after they had read the book, and you can read it up on the screen. And some of the questions had to do with, have we realized his vision, that author's vision, for justice in the United States? If so, how? Right? Part of the process of this questioning was to get the children to think outside the box. Besides having read the...
I mean, we don't want to rip on people for their looks. Come on, man.
The learning was
you might be an alien,
listening
though.
to others with experiences different from or matching their own.
Yes.
So they got them to stop thinking about the diversity in the class. And if you look at the statistics, almost 5% of students, AAPI students, are in Exeter high schools. 5%. That's a large number. And 2 or more races, almost 2.5%. So it's a large mixture of different races in the classroom, and we need to consider how
There's
they
not.
feel and how they
Exeter
think.
High School is 88% white.
What's interesting in this class that they ran
What did
last
Sean look up for us? I'll
summer,
read it again.
Last school year, teachers were thinking of not changing the curriculum, but getting people to look beyond the curriculum and consider diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay,
And I will close with one other
he's
item
not saying
here.
anything interesting, so I'm just going to make him a little bit softer, just to remind people that the Exeter School District is 88% white, 2% black, 3% Hispanic, 3% Asian, and 1% Native American, Sean. It is 88% white. It is not a diverse school.
Talked about one subject, listening to how people speak. Can we run that? Yep. It's on the last page.
Did we cue the closing video?
Yes.
It's a 3-minute
Is
video.
another student collaboration. This is a 4-person team. And I'm, of course,
It's Katie Rocha.
yeah, I'm
Lily
looking for my
Poteet
notes. Thanks.
With original music by Henry Mullen and Evan Nichols.
Thank you.
So here we go.
Words can ruin your night, initiate a fight.
Words are violence.
Change the course of your life.
Words are violence. They're making the case for it.
Hopeful, harmful, helpful, hurtful, and everything in between. They say sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you.
But in reality, words may be something we can push through.
Words cause pain that bubble up in the form of emotion.
Do you notice how that guy, I'm just going to make this a little bit softer because we don't really care about this anyway. But like, do you notice how that guy said, like,
ruined relationships are not that rare. Words are daggers we throw in the dark. Words are warm hugs we give after a while apart. The words we use every single day ignite many emotions.
Like,
that's what they say.
They're trying to make the case for words are violence.
What we always hoped.
That's what they're doing.
Words ruin something.
If you say the wrong words, you are hurting someone's feelings and breaking the law by not having a safe space. Am I back? I think I froze for a second. Okay, I'm back. These people engage in trickery like this all the time. Of course, we have the poet from Joe Biden's inauguration.
Our words are how we express our love,
Fear, loyalty, frustration, and every other emotion we experience. They are how we fight.
Probably gonna get like a copyright claim for this damn song. I'm gonna have to clip it out.
We use that weapon every time we open our mouths to speak.
Whatever.
The potential is so unique.
words hold the power to ruin your night, initiate a fight, change the course of your life.
Why are we watching this video right now? Why are they doing this? Why are they playing a video about how words are violence to a group where they're supposed to be talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion and justice? Why might that be?
We may be young.
Let's pull on the emotional heartstrings and remind how much words can hurt. Your intent doesn't matter, only your impact.
And start using words right.
Racial Unity Team. Do you see that title? It said the Racial Unity and Equity Team above it. Holy shit. Racial Unity Team and Exeter High School Arts in Action. They had the kids make that video.
Thank you.
I want to leave you with one last
Okay.
request. Make sure you go onto the website. And you'll
I mean, it's a
find
student
that,
video. I don't blame the students. I
there's a
blame the
58-minute,
teachers.
video that shows
And I blame this guy for linking actual violence with words and trying to convince people that if you use the wrong words, you're creating an unsafe space for students, which is against the law, which is not true.
Thank you.
All right, let's get to the questions. I'm
Thank
waiting
you
for the
very much
questions.
to the panelists and for taking the time to prepare
Let's
and
do it.
convey what is happening in the schools. And folks, you did it. We got another half hour to go, but you did a very nice job listening, and I really appreciate that. Like I said, we can do this. Being respectful really matters. And giving each other a chance to hear and ask your questions. So I'm going to ask the folks who were picking up the cards. I'm not sure I know who you are, but if folks will, so raise them high. Pass them to the ends if you want to have your question cards collected. And we want to make sure those come up here. We're going to get through as many of those as we can. And and then
if you're in New Hampshire, connect with the Mises Caucus. I fully support this.
Hearing out, but there will be an opportunity in the future for you to sit, shoulder to shoulder, knee to knee, and actually have.
Remember, the GOP has banned libertarians. Chris Sununu banned libertarians from the Republican Party in New Hampshire. So we're not wanted there.
We'll bring those up and we'll get going.
Or even people with more libertarian
have
leanings.
some in my hands. In fact, if somebody just wants to run me the ones they have, I'll get going.
Chris Sununu.
Oh, we have a runner. Check her out. Thank you. Nice. Appreciate it. Oh my goodness. Tons of cards. Okay. All right. Racial Unity Team is tax exempt 501(c)(3) organization. When will you post your financials on your website?
Ha!
Listen, it is an open nonprofit organization, and we invite individuals. We haven't posted it on the website, but we do have financial statements at our meetings. We invite people to attend our meetings.
Boom.
There are 4 meetings that are open to the public. And I'll have to check with my treasurer how we do that.
Great.
There's no reason why we can't do that.
Thank you. Can efforts for equity harm members of the student community?
Yes.
i.e. hold them back in some way?
Yes.
I'm going to maybe throw that one to teachers.
Oh, the white people have to answer it. Okay.
I'll repeat it. Can efforts for equity harm members of the student community in some way, like holding them back?
Long pause.
No, because equity
Liar.
by definition means we're meeting the individual's needs, no matter what those are, no matter who, what, how. It is our jobs as educators to make sure we are meeting those individual needs, and that's what equity is about.
That's not what equity is about. Equity is about equality of outcomes, and that is Marxist.
Had you considered the snappy term Jedi, which is from National NAACP and Star Wars? In Star Wars, it is their commitment to
Yes, they
peace
do,
and
Sean.
inclusion.
Many other
Justice,
towns
equity,
do this.
diversity, and inclusion. Jedi. Have you considered that snappy term? Anybody? Maybe we'll let that one sit.
They're
I don't
trying
know.
to ruin Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I've considered it a snappy term more than a reorganizing of the same letters we're still using that are diversity, inclusion, equity.
We don't want to name it Jedi because Jedis are white.
That I am not aware of. I would love to citate.
Oh, yep. All right. Who decided that DEIJ was to become a component of SAU 16?
It's a good question. Who made this decision?
DEIJ work has been a component of SAU 16 far before anyone up here
No.
brought it in. Again, it was our parent community in the Exeter School District who brought it forward to the leadership at both Main Street School, Lincoln Street School, and wanted to have their students participate in a more diverse experience or increase and enrich the community with a more diverse experience. And so we carried that forward, riding on the shoulders of those parents. So this is a very grassroots.
For those who might be new to the stream, he's describing how the Exeter High School, I guess, took guidance from the equity operations in the Exeter Elementary School.
We would like
They implemented it in the elementary school first.
lists for the whole district.
Yes, book lists, mother effers.
I'm trying to get to the question there.
The
How are you
question
going
is,
to make sure
can we
no
have
one
book
is
lists?
discriminated against, and can there be a shared book list for the whole district if this is already started?
I just want to make sure I understand the question, Michelle. Do we mean every book, textbook, novel,
Yes.
math, science, or are we looking at
Yes.
just novels? Or
I want
I think
all
it may
the
be helpful
books.
to whoever asks.
Yeah!
That's
yes.
great.
There was a parent that yelled, if you guys couldn't hear it, there
So
was
I'm
a
pretty sure
parent that yelled in the back of the room, we want to know everything you're teaching our children.
With our students and and you can certainly access that through our principals by making those requests. Teachers, do you have any other way that you better communicate that than I did?
Hold on just a second. We got to be able to hear. So
Can I just add? At Exeter High School, we now use Canvas as our learning management platform, and every assignment that we give, every reading that is put up there, parents can log into Canvas as an observer, and you can see everything that is assigned to your kids.
Yes.
So hang on. I'm going to keep going through the questions, and so hopefully yours is in here. I'll just go for it. Can taxpayers log into a student's system that they aren't?
The learning management
they're not the parent.
program is for parents of students, and
We pay your salary. We
How
pay your
can
salary.
Andre separate himself from his work with Black Lives Matter and his role as DEIJ director?
Oh my God, I love these parents. Yes, yes. Yeah, Andreas.
Let me see how I can answer that.
How about the truth?
Well, first I want to just say that I am Black, and that's what I identify as. So therefore, I can never disconnect myself from Black Lives Matter.
That was not the question.
My life does matter.
That wasn't the question, you obfuscating motherfucker. Not the question.
And I do want to say that my work with Black Lives Matter and my work with DEIJ and SAU16 is separate. You know, many of us.
I'm looking up this guy's
are part of
social
many
media
different
right after
organizations
this.
and communities that we're part of, and we go into different workspaces. I truly believe in diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice. And again, it's DEIJ is to make sure we're accepting everyone's differences in the space. So that's how I will separate myself. They are two different organizations.
Right.
Thank you.
Have you asked an attorney if DEIJ is legal in relation to New Hampshire law? Have you talked to an attorney?
These parents are great. Congratulations, parents of Exeter. You kick ass.
I haven't asked that specific question. We fall and comply within the state statutes and any federal law that requires us to employ in schools. So, I mean, I've never asked an attorney if diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice is legal. So I'll have to mull that one over.
Well, perhaps you should just ask a
What
lawyer.
opportunities will exist for surrounding districts and schools, Northampton, Portsmouth, et cetera, to learn from all this great work? How can we support other districts?
Great work.
You just answered about PEA. They carved PEA out because we got your connection, but anything else?
A few school districts, I like to say inland, but west of us, have already reached out to speak with us about the work that's being done, Bedford being one of them.
Bedford. Oh, really, Bedford?
Hudson
I
being
thought you
another.
weren't teaching this,
I
Bedford,
know
because
that
you claimed
in
publicly that you
Manchester,
weren't
they've just
teaching this.
hired
Why
a
are you
chief
reaching
equity
out to them to talk
officer,
about equity?
and she has
Bedford.
reached out to meet with us. So
Bedford's a bunch of dirty liars.
that collaboration is,
which I already knew
is
because we
starting
had a
to take root.
whistleblower in Bedford.
Name the racial issues that have happened in the district that warranted such a drastic change.
Yes.
I'm going to maybe toss it down there. Or, I don't know.
I guess I
Bedford
don't
caught
see this as a
red-handed.
radical change. I think we're just being more transparent about the kind of teaching we want to do. We want to make sure that all of our students get what they need out of school. And
So
I think
no
it's
incidents
fortunate
is
that
what you're
we're
saying.
approaching
No
this before
incidents.
we've had, we don't want to wait until some kid gets
So there were
hurt
none.
to make a change. So we're being proactive.
She looks so put upon every time she answers a question, doesn't she?
Are you DEIJ director working on behalf of religious students if their views differ from another?
My role here in the district and in the schools is to work for all students. So I am a really great listener. And again, part of DIJ is, accepting all differences and talking through those differences, understanding each other's differences, and putting each other in a space where we can understand where we come from, all our beliefs, our culture, and not hurt anyone while we're doing that. So not hurt each other. So I said all children. Conservative is, yes, all children, conservative children are part of that. Thank you.
Could you please explain the purpose of East Kingston's teachers' professional development? What was the objective, 20 to 21?
Their professional development in total?
What was East Kingston's teachers' professional development?
I think the person asking the question is
Did they
referring
have
to,
whiteness training?
DEIJ training that they engaged in with Two Revolutions. And the training that was provided was to build a foundation for the teachers understanding their own selves, their own identities.
No.
Since that time,
we watched that training on this channel. It's called, it's something about white privilege, and it was like a half-hour anti-racist summer camp commercial.
With
we watched
some
this.
of the work that they did as we've shifted
It was
that
whiteness
focus,
training.
and we obviously want all of our work to fall and comply within HB2. And so there's been a complete overhaul of that programming from Two Revs. I thought it was that was the purpose.
That wasn't the question, but maybe it's in here. Is this indoctrination?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
How will you, hang on. We're gonna hang in here and make it to the end without that, okay? We're gonna hang in here. I'm getting to all these questions. So how will results be measured? How will you track progress? What benchmarks are you using to track progress? Me? Okay. Thank you. I will enunciate. How will results be measured? How will you track progress? And what benchmarks are we using to track progress?
No answer. No answer. They have no answer. They aren't tracking progress at all.
Yeah, it's not really a project that you track progress.
It is never-ending work.
I think
it
the
is a
work we're
lifetime
doing
of
right
work.
now is
the work will
helping
never be
people
done.
Understand what it is. So I think the more that we're able to engage
They have no answer to this.
Conversations that are respectful, I think that would be a wonderful benchmark that we could set.
How do you determine ROI? I just heard in the crowd. How do you determine ROI?
What does DEIJ have to do with math, science, literacy, or history? Does this...
You parents are fire. Oh my God.
Does
Base
this
parents.
enhance my child's academic performance? If so, how? Maybe teachers?
I'm going to go back to the definition of equity. It's meeting all students' needs, no matter what they are. And that
From each according to their ability to each according to
Give
their
them a
need.
chance. We're listening.
That's Marx. She's quoting Marx. She just doesn't know it. She's quoting Marx.
You don't want your children's needs to be met. I doubt that.
You are quoting Marx.
Okay, so hang on. How will diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice work impact students' academics? There's some answers to
How are they
I
going to
think-
learn math?
I think
Hang on, folks, please.
we answered it in the presentation, but I'll go ahead.
No,
and try
you
to answer a
didn't.
little bit
No,
more.
you didn't. Andreas, no.
DEIJ will impact students' academics because it will create the space where all students feel like they belong.
No.
Where they don't have to sit in a classroom and think, man, I'm getting picked on. I don't belong here.
That's
People
not
are
what it
different than me.
is.
I learn different than
Those are
others. I
anti-bullying
look different than
programs,
others, where they
not
don't
the
have to think
same
about that
thing.
anymore. They can
You
just
are
come
such
into
a
the
liar.
classroom and now
You
just
are a
think about the
lying
academics. So that's
liar.
how DEIJ
And these
will
parents
affect
know
the
it.
academics of
You're
students.
not
It will just
fooling
help
them.
focus 100% on their academics.
No. The correct answer is DEIJ has nothing to do with academics, and they're going to teach your children to sing songs
If
and do
these-
interpretive dance in
Go
math
ahead.
class.
So just to extend on what's already been said, I think it's an interesting notion that some might think that DEIJ is somehow inherently separate from a lot of the fundamental things that are being asked of kids to learn in school.
Like
so to the question of
math.
how does DEIJ tie into math or science, right? I
Yes.
think those are pretty pertinent for a lot of people. So,
So
when
answer
I'm
them.
thinking about my experience growing up, if I was able to
Lived
connect
experience,
on a
lived
cultural
experience,
level to
drink.
some of the word problems that were being asked in my math class,
Holy shit!
my investment in that class might look fundamentally different than if I feel far removed from that content. So what a DEIJ lens allows us to do is to think, how can we create a system, a structure in the classroom that makes the things
Remember
that we're
when
teaching
we
students
when we looked at
successful
that
to them, and for them
anti-racist
to
training
also feel
textbook
affirmed
the other
and seen
day,
in the things that
and
they're
it said
reading
that
and
math
learning
word
about,
problems are
right?
racist?
STEM, another great example. If we think about the representation in STEM,
Oh shit.
see themselves in that profession because of folks who don't directly look like them. If there are narratives, problems shared, labs that are structured in particular ways, they might look at that as a possibility. And those are the same kids that we're looking to be the innovators of tomorrow and in the future, right? So that's how I would connect DEIJ to a lot of the things that we're asking students to learn in the classrooms.
All right.
We literally just saw this in the anti-racist math stream the other day. That stream said that word problems in math are racist, and he just said the same thing.
This is a question from a student. They noted that the question was from a student, so I'm going to ask this one. If these, hang on, please. So we want everyone to be able to stay and listen. We want everyone to be able to stay. And to be able to stay, you have to stop yelling, please. We want everyone to be able to stay. This is a question from a student. If these questions are no longer allowed to be talked about, but a student asks about one, what would that question be answered?
That student
Sorry, I
probably
fumbled that.
learned from a
If these
teacher that they
topics are
aren't
no
allowed to
longer
learn
be
about
talked
slavery.
about, but a student asks about one, would that question be answered?
That student has been misinformed, and the teacher should give them the correct information if they're actually a teacher and not an activist.
I'm assuming that question's about the divisive concepts law.
Yes, let's see how much you've read
and
it.
I think that
4-page
when
bill.
we are when we're talking about our curriculum, we are going to talk about things that are hard. And the law allows for that. And so we would definitely answer a student's question within the law.
Okay. Of course, validate.
I would just add that we're always here to listen to students and to process with students and to support students through difficult conversations, through difficult things that are happening in their lives and in the world. And as teachers, that's
the
what
job
we're
of
here
parents.
for, you know, we're here for the students.
No, that is the job of parents, not your job. Your job is to teach social studies. Real social studies,
Of
not
course,
made up nonsense social
validating
studies.
and supporting students is
Jesus
extremely
Christ.
important, but isn't it also the educator's job to teach about systemic racism? Teaching diversity.
Systemic
is not
racism,
enough.
bingo, Josh, oh my gosh.
Is it, I guess the question is, isn't it also? It's sort of a leading question, but.
Is teaching systemic racism enough in of itself? I mean, probably not, but Yeah, I mean, none of it is enough in of itself. I mean, I'm not sure I really get the question, but I'm happy
Teaching
to
systemic
understand.
racism is still completely legal in New Hampshire because
How
Chris
can
Sununu,
elementary
our
schools
Rhino governor,
partner
effed
with
up
this
the
work? How
anti-CRT
can
bill to
parents of
pander
young
to the
children
Democrats.
and elementary school age children help support equity? Anyone from the elementary level? On the
If you're interested in doing this work alongside us, we welcome all families, parents, and community members to learn about it, to do the work with us, to get in the mess of it. So my suggestion would be that you reach out to the school principal or anyone who is on that DEIJ committee at that building level.
Will students be encouraged to categorize others and themselves? So for example, this book is anti-racist.
Congratulations, Josh. Oh my gosh, you win absolutely nothing, but thanks for playing.
I think you missed that part. But we'll get back to you. How many developmental and educational psychologists did the team consult with before implementing this program?
That's a good question.
They said no.
They consulted with
Sorry.
0.
The previous question about putting kids in, like having people have to put themselves in boxes, we may talk about identities, but we're not going to force you into one box. As we talked about, we all have many multiple identities.
She's talking about intersectionality,
cultures, and that's what we're going to
which means that they are going to encourage people to put themselves in a box, an intersectionality box, where their multiple
And I
identities
would
may
just
cross
say
over.
that identity can be fluid, and that
Oh, really? Really? New
we
Hampshire
have
Social
students who
Studies Teacher of the
approach
Year.
us and want to talk to us about their lives, and we're going to be open to that, and we're going to be supportive of those students, especially students who in the past may have been marginalized or not have had someone to talk to at school. We are here for students.
Why don't you tell those students to go have conversations with their parents, which is where they should be
David,
having the
there's a set-
conversations with their
I'm
parents.
just trying to get to them all. There's a set of questions that have your name on them. I would like to know why Dr. Ryan assumes our children are in a bubble. Is David Ryan going to give up his? Sorry, I'm leaning over. I'd like to know why Dr. Ryan assumes that our children are in a bubble. Is David Ryan going to give up his job to a person of color?
Yeah.
Has David Ryan paid any reparations to the African American community? So I think maybe your intentions.
So I think these questions are very indicative of why we're trying to do this work.
So the principal thinks it's okay that he is a cis straight white man, has a job, and a black trans woman of color doesn't?
Okay.
I'm clipping that.
Thank you. Let's keep going. Thank you. Will you work with the 1776 project when you say you will work with organizations? I think the question is just, will you work with the 1776 project?
I don't know what the 1776 project is.
Wow.
Okay, hang on. Does anyone else know on the stage?
It's a U.S. history curriculum that was put forth in the last 4 years. We look at all kinds of perspectives on U.S. history at the high school, so I'm sure it comes up. Either students are welcome to raise issues. I would say at the high school, our teachers don't follow any one particular curriculum. They're building from state standards, they're following the students' lead, and they're going where the students want to go.
Okay. How can we access the presentation? I think, okay, you're going to post it on the website?
Yeah, we'll post it.
All right. SAU 16.
SAU16.org.
Why do Exeter meetings keep getting earlier? Used to be 7, then 6, now 5:30.
Because they don't want the parents to come. It's not inclusive, the guy
Something to
yelled.
keep in mind. Okay. What is meant by portrait of a student and portrait of an educator?
Good question.
Both of those are the vision statements that we have, both what we want our students to achieve by the time they graduate and go off into the world. And as far as portrait of an educator, that is a process on how we develop all of our teachers and our staff members, the way that they go about their professional learning, the specific knowledge we want them to have, as well as the dispositions as professionals in the classroom. So they're you can consider them to be programs for personal and professional growth.
You know, I heard about a gender today
How
called
does
bog
equity
gender,
compare
in which
to
you identify as a
equality?
swamp monster. How does equity compare to equality?
All right.
I know the answer.
So
They don't know.
equality means everyone gets the same thing.
No.
And equity means we're providing access to everyone so that they
No.
can reach the same level as everyone
No.
else.
Incorrect.
So
Wrong.
it's so that we're giving. So for example, if we wanted to give,
Andreas, I'm gonna
there
have
was
so
bike
much fun
riders,
with you.
and we had someone who couldn't ride a bike with their legs. We would give them a bike to ride with, that they can ride with their hands. So that is equity.
That's equality.
Equality would be giving them all the same bike. Doesn't matter if you can ride with your legs or you can ride with your hands, you're just getting the same bike.
No.
That's what equality is. Equity is giving them the right bike that works for them so that they can also make it to the finish line.
That is not correct. No. Equality is equal opportunity, equal access to opportunity. Equity is equality of outcomes.
About equal outcomes as you, I can't read it. Why do you have sports programs? Each team is equal. Everybody wins. Why bother? Do you think Olympians believe in equal outcomes? Anybody want to answer?
Do you think Olympians believe in equal outcomes?
It's still the equity, equality piece. Anyone else want to chime in on that? Places where that plays out?
I don't know. I just see a bit of an opportunity for us at some point to kind of get at that question. And another one that came up, which I appreciate, it was the one about, can anybody be hurt or held back by equity? And I've been thinking about that a little bit because I do think there's this current out there for probably a few different reasons. And I don't pretend to understand them all fully, but that
it's not like you're a teacher or
one
anything.
Person or group or something advances, then that's going to take away from
No.
others, as if it's like we're back in the times of like mercantilism or something, and it's like zero
wrong.
sum game here. And
Marie, thank
I
you
don't
for the
really
super
think
chats.
that's it. I think we know we're fortunate to be in a pretty resource-rich district, and
lots of rich
I think
liberal
there's a
white
lot
people.
of resource and wealth and wisdom to go around. So when talking about fairness versus sameness, I don't think by making sure somebody has a fair shot, it's really an attack or an affront on somebody else. But I'm just putting it out there. I'm really trying to understand that perspective, if that is it a little bit more, why there might be a fear that advancing somebody who needs some help, or rather assisting somebody that needs help with those barriers, is going to potentially take away from somebody else. I think that's a conversation we probably want to engage in at some point.
That has nothing to do with the objections, soy boy. No, wrong.
So we are at time. I really tried to go straight through the ones that I got handed. So there's still some here. And there were several that said this should have been more of a back and forth. It wasn't planned that way this time, but future events can be more of a dialogue. Thank you very much for being here.
I'm looking forward to those future events.
With your school district. Drive safe. Be safe heading home. Thank you.
We're just going to leave the stream on until they cut it off. I want to see what happens.
Hi.
And then we'll do some call-ins, guys. If you want to do call-ins, stick around. Oh, there goes the stream.
Who are you talking with?
Mike is still hot. Okay, there goes the stream. All right, guys. Well, that is the stream. I am going to be clipping the shit out of that. I'll tell you what. But I thought we would do some call-ins because why not? So if you've never done call-ins before, I will post a link in the chat. If you want to come on the stream with me and have a little bit of a chat, all you need to do is click that link and join me for call-ins. Let me just put the link in the chat real quick. And I will basically, I don't know who's watching right now. Maybe you like me, maybe you don't. Maybe you're a troll. I always hope for some trolls. Do call-ins for a minute. So if you want to do a call-in and talk about what we just saw, go ahead and click the link I just pinned in the chat. And we'll talk more about what's going on. Janice Zeal says more of a dialogue equals agree with me. I mean, I can't wait for those, to be really honest. I think it's going to be awesome. Guys, if you enjoyed the stream thus far, please mount that like button for me. And of course, please consider joining my Locals community. Locals supports the work I do. It's also the most wonderful, sane place on the internet. You can become a Locals supporter for $5 a month. Or you can do it for $50 a year, which gives you 2 months for free. And Locals is awesome, and I love it. And yeah, I hope some of you guys come and join us on Locals. Let's see. Let me get this banner off the screen because we're gonna do some call-ins. Now there are rules for call-ins, so I'm just gonna go over the rules real quick. Number 1, you are invited as a guest on this stream. I can boot your ass off the stream at any time. Number 2, be polite. You can hate me. That's okay. We can have have a hard, challenging discussion. That's fine. But as long as you're polite, you will have a significantly lower chance of being booted off the stream at any given moment. Number 3, each caller who follows the first 2 rules will get roughly 5 minutes unless we're having a really interesting conversation, and then I can extend the call-in at my sole discretion. But, just be polite and remember you're a guest on my stream. All right. So in order of call-in that I have so far, just to let you guys know that are getting ready, we have Patrice, we have Andrew, we have Josh. Oh my gosh, and I'm really excited you're calling in, Josh, and Janice Zeal. And that's what we have. Oh, and then dude after Janice Zeal. So Patrice, welcome to the stream, Patrice.
Hello. Can you hear me?
How was that for you, Patrice?
Hello?
Oh, Patrice, I can hear you. Can you hear me, Patrice?
Yes, I can hear you.
You're good.
Okay, good. So I just wanted to say really quick that I noticed with the Utah school board meetings that I've been watching, they've been talking about it a little bit along the lines of disability. So I think they can't make that they can't bridge that gap. And so when they talk about the finances, they always refer back to the fact that we have separate funds for disability or the kids with disability, and how they would like to sort of model that into the CRT stuff that they're doing.
That's interesting.
I'm kind of seeing that's maybe what they're going to start pivoting to, especially when talking about budgets and stuff. And so that's something to watch out for.
I will definitely keep an eye out for that. So we have to pay attention to how they're framing disability within these contexts.
Yep. Because they the Utah ones, they were talking about how they wanted to have, extra people within the classroom sitting with the students to individually help them like they do with the students with disabilities. And so yeah, I think they're kind of looking to frame it that way in order to get the funding they want.
All right. That's a really good observation. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, that was all I had. Thank you.
All right, cool. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
All right. Thank you, Patrice. Next up, we have Andrew and then Josh. Oh my gosh, after Andrew. Andrew, welcome to the stream.
Hello. Hopefully
Hi.
you can hear me okay.
Yeah, you're good. What's up?
So I saw the video you did with, I think it was Nicole.
Oh, yeah.
And I got not too far into that, and I have a hard time watching things without knowing as much as possible. So I found the actual video of the school board meeting and watched the basically 4 hours of that.
Isn't it crazy?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I watched, the stream here today, and it's like they're setting up these school board meetings so they can't have a back and forth. And it's very, very apparent. I just wondered if you had any comments on that.
I completely agree with you. I watched the whole school board meeting with Nicole as well, and I definitely encourage anyone who wants to spend 4 hours of time watching a witch hunt, that you can watch that school board meeting as well. But no, I agree with you. I think that the school boards, the school committees, whatever they're called, are behaving in a way where they're not acting as though they're acting on behalf of the community. They are acting as dictators of the community, and they're kind of pitting parents against the school board. They're pitting parents against the teachers. I mean, we saw it in the meeting we just watched too. There was no opportunity for public comment. All of those people are paid for by our taxes. That whole meeting was acting on was made possible by virtue of our taxes. And so, but they don't realize that, or they don't want to acknowledge that. They want, I mean, like, what do I always say, right? Critical race theory isn't about race, it's about power. They're trying to consolidate power as much as they can. And James Lindsay actually made a point on Twitter today to talk about how, like, no one's discussing the fact that once these people get into power, they do everything they can to solidify that power and make it nearly impossible for them to be taken out of it. So I agree with you.
Yep, that's basically all I had. So thank you so much.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
Cool. All right, Josh, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to add you to the stream that quickly, but I did. Josh, oh my gosh, what's up?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
A little nervous here, I guess. First time on any YouTube show and stuff.
Well, it's all good. You won bingo, so that your night's going pretty well so far.
Oh yeah, I suppose so. Well, I'm over here from Southern California and stuff, and just wanted to kind of, I guess, say about what's going on out here, and I'm just worried about all this CRT stuff because my nieces and my nephews, or even my baby nephew, he's already starting to go to school, like preschool and stuff, and I don't want to see that kind of stuff over here.
Oh, if you're in Southern California, it's there, especially if you're in the San Diego area. San Diego is one of the worst for this. I mean, like, there's no probably good place in California, but like, yeah, it's going to be in the schools there, 100%. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm sorry to say that, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I was trying to tell my dad, make sure that you're vigilant about this stuff and make sure you're paying attention to what the teachers are saying and the school board especially is saying in the area. And he's like, oh yeah, no, we talk to them sometimes and we make sure about that. So I don't know.
Well, make sure he knows the keywords to look out for. So things like equity, social justice, white fragility, anything around whiteness. Usually these days, diversity and inclusion and belonging as well, sadly.
Yeah. It's sad. They're taking advantage of people's goodwill to push this sort of stuff. It's ridiculous.
That's exactly what they're doing. They're also taking advantage of the fact that a lot of parents don't pay attention to what their kids are being taught.
True.
And that's why it's just like you have to look at everything. I mean, I thought it was so smart of the parents in that meeting to demand the reading lists of everything that's being taught. And that's what needs to happen.
Yeah. And that one time the one of the guys on stage there mentioned something about bullying or something. And I was like, well, that's a little personal for me too. I got bullied when I was a kid, and the only way it ever stopped, because the teachers never wanted to stop it or seemed to, and I had to stop it myself by basically telling them to back off or I'll break a metal bat over the back. It's kind of a survival game out there sometimes.
Yeah, but what worries me is they're not framing it in terms of like bullying, like you and I may have experienced it. They're trying to frame it as bullying or someone using words you don't like.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to change the definitions of things to get it to conform to this ideology.
Because words are violence.
Yes. Anything else, Josh?
No, that's all. I'm just kind of nervous. I'm gonna get going here.
Oh, you did great. Thanks for joining the stream.
Thank you.
Have a good one. All right. We've got a whole bunch of people in line to call in. I'm just going to let you guys know what order you're in. We have Janice, we have Dude, we have Brooks, we have Joyce Lena, Sherry, Nate, Sam, and TL. It's a lot of call-ins. Let's keep going. Janice, what's up?
Hey!
Janice, you got blue hair. I heard you got blue hair.
By the way, if anyone wants to know how it felt, it was very cold. Getting the bleach done, there was it was cold, and I had to wear a garbage bag and a white shirt. And believe it or not, I actually do have a white shirt.
Well,
Usually
you
when
need to have a white shirt if you're going to bleach your hair. Otherwise, it's going to ruin
or
the
else
shirt.
whatever I was wearing would become a very interesting yet synesthetically pleasing palette of colors. I've seen that happen. But yeah, so I went and did it. I wasn't just pulling your chain or lying to you or trying to make fun of you, because I would never do that, only in like, jabbing, if we were jabbing each other back and forth.
Yes.
And I really wanted to do it. I wanted, like, what is it like to have blue hair or whatever colored hair and problem glasses?
Yes. Well, you did it. You did it. You look just like an SJW. Congratulations.
Yeah, but I really believe in standing up for people that, face challenges in life. Like I've had to face a lot of really heavy stuff. People before me were put in institutions, and before that there was Bedlam. I mean, I actually give a D word. And Mr. Z, one of the big reasons I tried to get in today was that Mr. Z, aka Mr. Zurich, we all know him as Mr. Z, he said this to me. I quit working at School Name Redacted because of critical race theory. I couldn't stand being told that I was bad because I was white. And I looked at him with tears welling up in my eyes.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that to somebody? Why?
Yeah. I was in a conversation last night where one of the people in the conversation is friends with a school administrator in New Jersey. And in New Jersey, back in March, I think March or May, I didn't realize this. New Jersey passed a law that requires them to teach gender theory in school. And this administrator is so upset by that, even though his school district isn't like approaching it yet. This administrator is so upset he was going to resign his position because of it. But he was advised to stay in the position so he could find out what they're teaching and blow the whistle on it.
I wonder what the advisory committee looked like.
Yeah.
Probably looked more like an interrogation chamber. But yeah, that's one of the things he told me as we were driving back from our outing to the park, where he crushed me in Yahtzee, by the way.
Oh, wow.
He got a Yahtzee.
We can't, we can't account for that. You can't account for someone getting a Yahtzee.
No, he got a Yahtzee, or as I like to call it, an alt-right Yahtzee. But anyway, yeah, that's what, I've been itching to tell you this for weeks, and my brain's been up in the air. I don't know if any of you know this, but my operating system uninstalled itself.
Don't you
when
hate
I tried
that?
to fix an error with the audio driver, I fixed the error, and then it began sequentially uninstalling itself. So I had to start all over on Spyro the Dragon Eclipse, and I had words that were very colorful to say about that.
Well, you live to tell the tale, Janice.
Yes, and I have social justice hair and problem glasses.
You do. Congratulations.
I looked it up. I had to show my shrink today what I was talking about, because he's about maybe as old as my dad, and he has no idea what any of this means.
Yeah, well, you can teach him.
I had to explain to him what is social justice hair and what are problem glasses. I don't even get it. It's the hairdos, that hairdo thing, and if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. The hairdo thing was meant to PO the religious conservatives.
Yeah, it was.
And same with the earring thing, because I grew up in that generation. With the D&D and the Satanic Panic and the Smurfs are evil. And, my parents wouldn't let me even touch any of that because they thought that I would emulate the characters and think they were real. Just wait till I find out what I think about Spyro. Actually, my mom knows what I think about Spyro. I was on the line with her for about 2 hours.
All right, Janice. Well, I got like 12 other people here.
Sorry.
That's okay. You be good.
Time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining tonight.
All right.
Bye. All right, guys, we got a lot of people in the chat tonight. So if you're trying to join and you haven't been able to, that's because there's a full list right now, but that's okay because we're going to do call-ins for a little bit, I guess, because a lot of people want to call in. We've got Dude, Brooks, and Joyce up next. Dude, welcome to the stream.
Hey, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, someone asked that question was it the principal about how much, reparations or how much are they going to get his spot up, and everyone just, they laughed it off. How long do you think that answer is going to suffice?
I don't know. That's a really good question. Like, they're going to feel pressured. Like, that guy now knows what questions he's going to be asked because they're not going to let up because he didn't answer the question. He totally deflected. I'm going to make a clip of that and put it on the internet.
Yeah, and I mean, the moderator just went straight on to the next one. I mean, they got a big laugh and then moved on, but That's the kind of stuff that kind of spooks me.
Yeah. No, I
All right.
agree, but
Appreciate it.
oh, that's it. Okay.
That's it. Thanks.
Bye. All right. Moving quickly through these call-ins. All right. Next up, we have Brooks. Brooks, welcome to the stream.
Hello, Carlin. This
Hi.
is Brooks Ogborn here. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
You may not remember me from a few months ago, but I called in telling you that I had got a job as a teacher. I thought maybe people would like to see the classroom. I've taken down anything that could identify it.
Ooh, let's see it. Let's see it. You got a flag up. That's good.
Yeah, I do have the flag up. That is correct. But I just got hired, and I'm going to turn off my camera now because I just want to focus on the conversation, if you don't mind.
Sure, that's fine.
But so today was the very first day of school, and we were going through disclosure documents and all that stuff.
Really?
Yep. And, I'm teaching math, and I feel like I'm a pretty sensible person, so there wasn't anything crazy. Something I really liked, though, my librarian at my high school, she's a nice person. She was thrilled when I told her I joined a book club, but she wasn't thrilled when I told her that we were reading The Fountainhead. I'll tell you that.
That's hilarious.
But that's a different story. Anyway, our librarian has a shelf full of mobile cellular hotspots and a small shelf of Chromebook laptops so that students who don't have consistent internet at home can come in and check those out, sometimes for half a year at a time.
Oh, wow.
And they can complete online homeworks and have online resources at home. And I thought that was really amazing.
Yeah,
And
that's really great.
it really treated the difference between equality and equity. Like, equality will help you with the resources, but the students are the ones that have to perform, right? And of course, I got to do my job as well. Sometimes students are too shy to ask for help with the resources, and so sometimes I got to be sensitive to figure out maybe I need to pull someone aside and ask them and just be sensitive in that regard. But it really, at some point, it falls to personal responsibility on part of the students. Sometimes
now
you
you're
just have
gonna
to pull through.
No, I completely agree with you, but I just want to make sure you're not going to make students sing a song to learn math, right?
No, I don't really like. I like singing, but mostly in church, and that's it. To be honest. So.
No, I mean, I think one of the things they talked about in that meeting was, we have to give students opportunity to build resiliency, and part of that is learning how to do for yourself. And if students aren't coming and asking questions and they aren't showing up, then they need to be taught how that works, and they need to be taught the consequences of not showing up, and that someone's not just going to show up and hand you everything and do everything for you. You have to put in the effort, and I think it's probably a balancing act for you as a teacher to say, what is the right amount to step in versus when do I need to let them learn this on their own.
Exactly. And I'm sure as a parent, I'm not a parent, but lots of parents will face that with their children as well. Like, do I actually pay their rent, or do I let them kind of default on their rent? They'll have to do that once upon a time. There was one more. Yeah, say it.
No, I was just gonna say, like, my parents, like, when we were growing up, my parents always told me, like, we are not paying for your down payment on your house. Like, you need to save up for your own down payment. And I did, and it was a good lesson because owning a house costs a lot of money, as it turns out.
I'm pretty psyched to have my first regular paycheck. It's going to be like more money I've ever received in one paycheck at a time.
Awesome.
And that's being a public school teacher of all things. So let me tell you just one more thing. I've realized in the past few weeks that as a school teacher, I'm sitting really precariously, and I have to pick and choose my battles extremely wisely, and I have to be very judicious in things that I say. And I have to be impartial, like especially in the classroom or when I'm serving the role as a teacher. Which is, I don't know if teachers who are way out there on the left side of the spectrum feel the same way. I don't know. But anyway, I wanted, as I was preparing the disclosure documents for my class, I wanted to be super transparent with the parents. So I wrote a short letter to the parents, and I attached the bills that were passed by the Utah State Board of Education recently that were addressed CRT, that sort of thing. And so I attached the full transcript of that bill, which is just 4 pages long. And I think it's, for the most part, pretty decent and sensible. And I wasn't trying to hide it. I thought it was an okay thing to do. My bishop, or not my, sorry, my administrator, my principal, he saw that. And he didn't think anything bad of me, but he came up to me and he said, I think you're trying to do a good thing and trying to be transparent. I just think it's going to solve some problems, but you're going to worry more parents than you, than you comfort with this letter. So why don't you keep that to your ask? And I figure that might be happening all across the United States if there are teachers who do that. So parents aren't going to get that from me unless they come in and ask me. So, Yep. That's all I really wanted to say.
All right. Well, thank you for joining, Brooks. And I'm
You're
so glad
welcome.
you got a new job and your classroom looks great. And looking forward to book club in a couple weeks.
Yep. See ya, Carlin.
See you, Brooks. All right, guys. As a reminder, if you would like to join book club and read The Fountainhead, you still can. You just got to join my locals community, kb.locals.com. And you can come and have a good conversation with us about The Fountainhead. Next up, we have Joyce Lena, we have Sherry, and then we have Nate. Hello.
Hello.
How are you, Joyce Lena?
I'm doing well. I was excited to finally get a hold of some, I listened to you, I listened to a lot of other people, and I am an actual school board member.
Really?
In a super progressive area. That I won't tell you where I'm at, but I've been a school board member for 12 years. And so I thought there's so many things that I wanted to talk about, but I'll try to focus in on what I know about school board members, because I know a lot of them throughout my state, throughout the nation, in the work that I do. And I think so many of them don't know exactly what's going on in their schools. So I think you think you don't know, even the school board members don't really know. So I heard somebody saying, oh, this came from the parents, that, the teachings that they want to do. I can guarantee you none of this starts with the parents. Absolutely none of it. It all starts with a really SJW teacher or administrator, and it feeds its way up and then it feeds its way down. So this really doesn't start with your parent groups. The parents aren't dying for this. The other thing I would say is that I was a math major in college. And one of the things that I say is I took a class called number theory. And it is about algorithms. It has all to do with basically the mysteries that are integers and the way they play. And so I can say in our high schools, we don't teach number theory in our K-12 schools.
Right.
But we teach arithmetic.
Right.
So it's the same thing. You can, if you go to a school board meeting and you say, I don't want you teaching CRT, they're going to say, we don't do that. I think the National School Board Association even put together a whole flyer for the school board members to say, and they're like, you're not teaching CRT in your classrooms. And it's like, that is true. We're teaching the foundation of that to our students. And you're not going to necessarily know, even if you did a FOIA request, you're going to have to ask for certain things. So if you just ask for the curriculum, you're going to get what was approved by the school board. That's not where the problem lies.
Right.
The problem lies in the supplemental material. So that's the word you would want to say, is you want to know the supplemental material. I heard them talking about how they're in their history class, it's not an actual curriculum. The teachers are just developing it. That is the scariest thing I hear.
Yep.
Because if they're just developing it, it's not consistent throughout your even your high school or your school district, and you don't know what it is.
Yeah,
it's
and I'll add one more thing onto this, because I had this conversation with Nicole Solis, who is the Rhode Island mom getting sued by the teachers union for wanting to know what her daughter was learning. And what she told us, and I thought this was a really astute point, I want to get your thoughts on it, is that when she was doing her public records requests, she asked for the teacher emails, because the emails is where they were talking about what's actually going into the curriculum. And that's all public information. And that's the thing that they really don't want her to have. They really don't want her to have access to those emails.
Absolutely. And, and that's, there was one school district that was suing. Is she being sued for her public records request?
Yes.
Because that's insane. I don't know how you do that.
The school board meeting, and we talked about this a bit earlier, but like the school board actually, I think, changed the rules to limit the number of public records requests you could do, specifically because of her public records requests.
And I don't know how, maybe it's different in the state I'm in, but there's no way, because that's one of the things that we get hit with a lot. So we probably spend $500,000 a year filling public records requests. because you have to get them redacted a lot of times. So the names will be redacted, but I don't know how. It baffled me when I heard that. I'm like, I would never sue somebody to know. So I have to tell you one book that we were doing a curriculum development for elementary school. And one of the books came across and it said want versus need.
Okay.
And so automatically, back my hairs bristled up. But I opened the book and it starts off, sometimes you might want to wear a pair of jeans, but if you're going to a wedding, you would need to wear something else. And I thought, oh, maybe it's not as bad as I thought. But then I kept reading and kept reading. Sometimes you may want to have a second piece of cake, but you need to limit that. Or sometimes you may want to have a bigger house, or you may want a really nice pair of jeans, but that's not what you need.
Right.
And I just kind of, I brought it towards my, the person that was doing the curriculum for our school district. And I started to point these things out. But what I try to do is get it to where they feel bad that they've done something. And I said, look at this one picture. It has this student in a really nice kitchen talking about what they need to eat. And I said, what about all our kids that don't have food, that don't have a nice place to live? How are you showing them that book and you're telling them that they may need this and their parents aren't giving it to them? So you have to look at how can you make that curriculum, make that pull on those same progressive heartstrings rather than beating them down.
Sometimes you need to speak leftist. If you're talking to leftists, you need to speak in leftist.
Yes.
I have so many questions for you. Can you, I see you got a professional mic setup and everything. Can you come back and have a conversation with me sometime about school boards?
I'd love to.
Yeah. Shoot me a note. Go to drcarlin.com/contact and just fill out the form and let me know that we talked, and I will be in touch with you.
Okay, great.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining. Oh, that was great. All right. Let's see. All right. We're starting to make our way through some of these call-ins. We have Sherry, we have Nate, and we have Sam in that order, and then everyone else is after that. Sherry, welcome to the stream.
Hi, Carlin.
Hi, Sherry.
So I wanted to address the social study teacher on the panel. I may have misread this, but it was when he was talking about when they were talking, when the question was, are we going to categorize our kids? And then it kind of got into the gender issue a little bit. He made it sound like it's within their purview to talk to kids about gender stuff, when that should be left to a psychologist.
Yeah, or minimally the parents.
Exactly. So is there a legal case to me against teachers speaking on topics that they are not qualified to speak on?
I mean, I certainly would think that there would be, but the problem with a lot of this stuff is that it requires parents to sue. And in order to follow these cases through to getting an actual judgment, it takes a lot of money. So we look at Gabrielle Clark's case with her son, William, out in Nevada. William is a biracial student whose high school tried to force him to say he was an oppressor in order to graduate. He refused. The school retaliated against him, suspended him. He almost didn't graduate, but then they ended up getting an injunction, so he did, which is great. But Gabrielle is still trying to follow this case through to its conclusion. It's going to cost probably $400,000, $500,000 to do that, but that is the only way that you're going to get the precedent set that actually makes it into law. And so it is really, really challenging. It's been extremely challenging for her to raise the money to do it. She's not getting the support that she needs. And that's why, there may be good cases to be had in a lot of these questions, but it requires a parent that is coming forth and is willing to sue. And then it requires the money to follow that through so that a decision actually gets made by a judge that can become legal precedent.
Okay. I'm just, the whole time you're talking, I'm thinking about how can we get out ahead of this? Yeah. Okay, that stirred up a lot of ideas. Which really sucks. It really sucks that we have to do this in retro, because the kids are already being damaged.
Oh, it totally sucks. Yeah, it's really bad. It's really hard. Go ahead.
It's terrible. So I guess I have a question, which has nothing to do with any of this. What is your Myers-Briggs?
INTJ.
I knew it. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell. I knew it. I pegged you as that. I am an INTJ also, and it's so very rare that women are INTJs. And I'm going to high five you, sister.
High five. High five. INTJs
All right,
for life.
Carmen. That's right. We're the bomb. Okay, we'll talk to you, girl.
Thank you, Sherry. Have a good one. All right. These are going extremely well. All right. Next up, we have Nate and then Sam and then TL Good after that. Nate, welcome to the stream.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Oh, that's good. Okay. How do you get through to family members? For example, people who are in the education system. I have a sister who's a teacher. I'm not going to say which district, but a lot of these sort of progressive ideologies are being pushed. And I tried to warn her ahead of time. But since I was always the one that was far left radical, and since I've become more like moderate left leaning, there's no reasoning with her because it's like my past, I was the radical one. Now we're switching. She's become the one who's very progressive, ashamed of her privilege, adopting all these radical ideologies, and I just can't reason with her. And I'm at a point where I just have to distance myself until she could see for herself that it's not good. But it's tough because we kind of switched. I can't even explain it. I mean, she hasn't gotten her red pill moment yet.
You know, it's funny. So I'm going to tell a quick story and then I'm going to answer your question because it's funny that you say that we switched. I was actually thinking last night. So I used to date this guy. I was actually engaged to him at one point. We almost got married. But like, so we would get tattoos together because that's just one of the things we did. And he actually got the barcode from the book 1984 tattooed on his wrist. And like back when we did this was in the early 2000s. So he was like, it was like when W. Bush was still president, and it was like totally like railing against the system and being subversive and all that. I checked out his social media not too long ago, and he is completely in favor of all this crap. And it's like, do you not even recognize that you have 1984 tattooed on your wrist? So I just think it's funny that the interesting juxtaposition that happens when like one ideology just isn't paying attention to what's going on and they just kind of go along with it. But you know, to answer your question, how do you get your sister to pay attention? I think as much as you can, don't even talk about politics. Don't focus on real.
That's actually really smart. Yeah. I've been trying, every time we have a conversation, I try to avoid it because I think she'll come around to it. The thing is, I came out of the closet 20 years ago when it wasn't acceptable in high school, and I wasn't accepted by my family. And I grew up in a very, very conservative family. So now it's like she's going along with the gender thing, with the trans thing. And I just find it to be like, you didn't even accept me. And now like you're going along with everything. So that's what made me. She's come to terms with stuff, but at the same time, it's like I wouldn't accept you, but now I'm going even further left than you are, kind of thing. I can't even explain it. It's hard to explain.
Oh no, I totally get it. But no, I mean, I don't talk about politics. Don't talk about parties or any of that. Just focus on the materials. Just show her the materials. Look at what like the stuff that Chris Rufo's dug up, and don't even talk about Chris Rufo or show her the stories. Show her the actual materials and say, here's what's going on. And here is why this makes me nervous. And just try to reach her on that level and understand that when you're trying to red pill someone, it is a process. The only thing you're trying to do right now is just plant a seed. That's it.
Well, it's not even red pilling. It's just like common sense. Like I watch stuff there is still a lot of moderate left-leaning political commentators that are very objective, but I can't even get her to listen to maybe I can get her to listen to Bill Maher, maybe, and that's good because that's at least that's a little more common sense, you know, like.
And well, we should probably define what I mean by red pill, because I don't mean like become a Republican or a conservative, and sometimes
like the Matrix.
Like, I just mean seeing reality for what it is. And if you want to be
like the Matrix red pill.
Like someone like a commentator like Jimmy Dore. Jimmy
Dore, yeah, but also Brett Weinstein's very good.
Yeah.
But he also said, let's not misuse the term red pill because we should be seeing things as actual reality. Don't let a political movement take over a term that really wasn't a political term from the beginning. And I really love the Dark Horse podcast. I listen to him and his wife Heather a lot. But I'll tell my friends about the videos, but then if people are very set on like a Rachel Maddow, MSNBC, CNN way of thinking, there's not much you can do. It's really tough, you know?
And that's why I say you got to focus on the actual materials. Like print it out. Have it like sit down at the table with them, print it out. Like get away from all the media, all the influencers. Here is what's happening. What do you think?
Okay.
And get her to respond. Don't even give your own opinion about it. Like, here's what's happening. What do you think about this? And let her come to you with an answer, you know?
Okay, well, that's about it. I guess you answered everything I needed to know. And, you know, I will call again once, you know, this picture looks better than me. So that's why I've had Audrey Hepburn in my spot.
I love it. Well, thank you, Nate. And call in and let us know how it's going, okay?
Yes, thank you again.
Have a good one. Bye.
You too.
All right, folks. I'm going to do a last call for call-ins because we already have a whole bunch of people in line. So we're going to do a last call. The link, if you want to call in, is at the top of the chat, and I'll be taking it down in a minute because, you know, I want to see my husband at some point tonight. We have Sam S. We have TL Good, and then we have one of my favorites, Christian, coming up. Christian, I'm so glad you called in, and we'll talk in a sec. But first, we're going to go to Sam S. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Carlin. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm a former math teacher. I graduated in 2010 from grad school, and I've been following a lot more closely the last 2 days between the document you shared yesterday and the stream today.
You didn't teach anti-racist math, did you?
No, that was one of the reasons why I left teaching. Was the woke stuff was just horribly wrong and very damaging to all students. It's truly a plague on our educational system at every level. But I did want to say that you nailed it out of the park yesterday with most of the comments you had for that stream. There are a lot of things in there that I can see, having 10 years ago been exposed to it for the first time, where the intentions were good, but they quickly sailed into that place of good intentions, bad policies.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. It just makes no sense. Now, I'm interested in what were some of your experiences as a teacher? Because it seems you probably weren't a teacher for that long.
No, just a few years. The teaching itself was great. You know, kids are great, parents are great. And for me, the curriculum changed. We began doing Common Core math, which was a bad failure too.
Oh, God. How do you feel about new math?
Oh, it's definitely, I can see where it came about in the history of why it's done, but it definitely is not the best way of teaching math to most students. For some, it works great, but for a lot, it didn't work, and it created more problems than it needed to.
What do you think parents need to know about how their kids are being taught these days?
I think the biggest challenge from a lot of my colleagues that were very woke and were adopting the beginnings of CRT, although they'll call it something else, right? The biggest challenge for parents to say is to figure out from your kids, you know, what did you cover today? What are some things that you learned? And what are some things that you learned differently from what we've taught you? To kind of figure out how much of what's being put into their kids' teaching is activism. And kids will not identify it until you phrase it as, what is it you've learned that's different from what we've taught you?
That's a really good point.
Yeah, when kids, any grade, anything K through 12, they'll know as long as it's different from what mommy and daddy have told them.
So, I mean, that to me says it's very important that we be having regular conversations with kids to make sure, like on a very consistent basis, to be checking in and making sure that what they're learning is in line with what you're comfortable with them learning.
Absolutely. And the hardest thing I can say to do, but it's definitely important, is for parents to withhold a judgment when you hear something that's leftist crazy come out of your kid's mouth. Don't attack immediately because they're already in the brainwash. We have to just kind of note it, categorize it, and then kind of reteach it differently without putting a judgment on it. Because if you come at them hard, you have the disadvantage of kids growing up want to be different from their parents or be apart. It kind of pushes them more into that ideological box. And keep in mind too that most teachers, I was different because I came into teaching late in my career. Most teachers are not too much different age-wise than their students.
Yeah, that's something that's so crazy. It's like they're so young.
I went into teaching when I was like 28, and that was old.
Wow.
Very old. Most of the teachers who teach high school start at 22, and that's who gets hired. So most of the teachers in high school are just a few years older than the students. That's also why you can see the progression change very quickly in the SJW kind of activisms, right? They come right out of the high school, right into college, and then right back into high school.
That's so crazy. But I think you made a great point about make sure, like, if your kid like says that they're learning like crazy stuff, which the kid doesn't know is crazy, by the way. Like, the kid is doing what they should be doing. They're going to school, excuse me, they're listening to the teacher, they're learning what they're learning. They don't know that it's crazy. But the other thing, and I like that you said, be gentle, just take note, and you have to kind of reteach them. But the other thing that's insidious about this, and I think this is something that Scott Adams talks about, is that the thing you hear first is the thing you're most likely to believe.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, there's a bias towards first learned things. Yep.
Right. So the teachers are getting in there and teaching the thing first, and then the parents are put on the back foot by having to unlearn or having to unteach the thing.
Yeah, and it's scary for parents, but there is hope. There are places that don't do this, and you can kind of quickly suss out, and you can mitigate kind of the damage, so to speak, by just being regular check-ins with your kids and reteaching things as much as you can.
All right. Sam, any other advice for parents?
Just be involved. It is the biggest part. Talk to your teachers, schedule conferences if you have to. At the end of the day, your guest the other day who was being sued for FOIA requests, that is the most ridiculous thing. Even I live in woke New York, right? And
sorry.
Thank you. And I was told from day one as a teacher, everything you do and say is public record. Every email, and we had to have plans in advance in binders on the shelves in our classrooms. So anyone who walked in, teacher, administrator, public, could come in and see exactly what I'm teaching via unit plans, lesson plans. Everything was public domain. Everything was taxpayer available. So I don't know why they're trying to throw in roadblocks other than they know what they're doing is wrong, and they know what they're doing is activist and not education.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Sam, for giving us such good advice. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Ciao.
Ciao. All right. What great call-ins we have tonight. All right, guys. Last call for call-ins, and I'm taking the number down. We have TL Good, we have Christian, and then we have Kevin up after that. TL Good, what's up?
Hey, hon, how are you?
I like the picture of the cow.
Well, I figured we'd add a little color to the evening.
I like it.
Trying to be inclusive. Cows are people too.
Cows are people too.
So, one of the things that they talk about, and just it's on the same line of what we discussed in the meeting today, but it's a little on the side of it. They keep talking about intersectionality, although they call it other things, and categories, and I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, and it's such an invasion of privacy. It's an invasion of privacy. Like, it reminds me of those things where when you see the movies of like Schindler's List and stuff, where people come up and they go, "Who are you? Are you Jewish? Are you like I should not have to wear every decision I've made about my personal life around my neck like a yoke." Now, on a little bit more positive note.
Wait, let me respond to that though, because I completely agree with you. I think this is such an invasion of privacy, especially when you have young gay kids that maybe aren't ready to come out of the closet yet. I've actually thought a lot about this. Like, Pete Buttigieg came out of the closet as gay when he was 30 or 31 or so. He was much older, and it's like kids are being pressured to talk about their sexuality in high school. It is an invasion of privacy. It's not fair. It's putting them on the spot. It's incredibly disrespectful. I have such an aversion to it.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm on the pretty side of 40, but here's the thing is that I still haven't figured out all of my sexuality. So why should I have to define it at 15 when at that particular time I was depressed, I was moody, I hated my mother, and honestly, I had no friends. I don't want to get up in front of the class and tell you everything I think about myself, which is probably wrong now if I look back.
Yeah. And guess what? Puberty is awkward.
It's
People
ugly.
Are awkward as shit when they're teenagers. It's just the way it is. Everyone is the weird kid. Everyone feels weird. No one's comfortable with themselves. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. And then the only other thing, and I'll let you go into your next caller. I want to end on a positive note. That's why I wanted to list this.
Cool. Let's do it.
I work in academic sales.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I do integrations, technology, online course content for colleges.
Okay.
And I will say, of all the 2,000 faculty members I work with every semester, it's it's still a small, although it's growing, it's still a smaller proportion where that's one of their decision factors when they pick materials. Some people, they'll say, I want a social justice theme or I want a DEI theme, blah, blah, blah. But it's still a very small percentage. Most of them, it's still on the fundamentals. It's on the basics. It's on, can it teach my student in a way that they can understand and give them practice?
Mm-hmm.
And everything else is something they add on their own or they don't do. So just to end on a positive note, I don't know that it's gotten everywhere yet in most states. Like it's there, but it's just like the water's pink. It's not red with blood, so the sharks aren't here yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
No, I do agree with you that I don't think it's in every single classroom and every single school, but I do think it's a lot of places, and I just think people need to be vigilant and to be paying attention and listen. Like, don't freak out over something that isn't what you think it is. Like, be thoughtful about it. But I think that people should always be paying attention, and if you don't find it, then fine, great, like good for you. But you never want it to be there and find out about it after the fact simply because you weren't paying attention.
Well, half my family are teachers, so this is always fun.
Oh, I bet it is. Well, thank you, TL, for calling in.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Let's see. I took the link down for the call-ins, guys. So we're going to go with what we go with. Let's see. We have Christian up next, and then Kevin, and then I always butcher your name, man. Giorgio. I think you're going to have to teach me how to pronounce your name, Brandon, and then Kim is going to wrap us up for tonight. Christian, welcome to the stream.
Carlin, how are
buddy.
you?
I was thinking about you the other day.
while.
I was like, we need to do a stream again, Christian.
I agree. I always think about you. You're the first thing that pops up in my Twitter feed, so I'm really appreciative. Oh,
I don't
really?
know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think people give you a hard time. I think people give you a harder time than you deserve on your Twitter, in my personal opinion. But
I
yeah,
can
so
give that hard time right back, though, can I?
yes, tenfold. So I was watching that, and I saw that principal say, in response to different opinions, this is precisely why we're doing this kind of work. Carlin, every revolution that has happened in the history of the world didn't begin with fists and force and bombs and intimidation. It began with an intellectual revolution, a revolution of the mind, heart, and soul. Because if the mind, heart, and soul are convinced that a certain idea is correct, then not only do you have a sort of appeal to the logic of people, you have an appeal to the emotion of people. And human beings, us being indeed emotional beings, when we are driven by emotions, the passions can make our zeal for something a little bit more special, which is why love is such a powerful thing, because our zeal for our lovers, our passion for our lovers, drives us to do things that sometimes absolutely forsake logic. This is why Machiavelli said in The Prince that if people remember that they are free, you cannot oppress them, you must kill them. So when I look at that principle saying that, I see the workings of an intellectual revolution, or I should probably actually say this, an anti-intellectual revolution, which is designed to confuse the language and change some of the basic concepts that are responsible for American civilization. Concepts such as justice or fairness, which are indeed responsible for how we do our systems of law and how we understand what is right and what is good and what is bad. These things are being changed, they're being distorted, they're being manipulated. When Lenin went into Russia and did the revolution over there in the early 1920s, the first thing he did once he got power, he began to redefine words. He began to redefine words to fit his narrow political purposes. Even if the words meant something different, he began to redefine words so that people would begin talking in his language, even if they were not talking about politics. That is precisely something of the sort which is happening in our schools today. They're redefining words, but even when people are not talking politically, it still is very political. It still is very activist. So I just find it very concerning that our country is being inflicted with this nonsense. Every time I watch one of these school board meetings, I shake my head and I wonder, when are we finally just come out and say that these people are trying to not just change the country, they're trying to change the very way we communicate, so that this goes beyond the country. This goes into our understanding of reality. That's the dangerous thing here. That's what bothers me. And all the parents, sorry, I'm preaching right now. Sorry.
No. I think I just wanted to play off that point because I actually had in my locals today and on our Zoom call, we were actually talking about this. So we were looking at, okay, Christian, have you heard of bog gender? Do you want to know what bog gender? Bog gender.
What the hell is a bog?
A bog gender. Hang on, I will bring it up. Oh shoot, that's not the right thing. A bog gender is a gender in which you feel like you are a bog or a swamp. Your body is a bog or I'm not making this up. This is a real thing, like a bog.
I mean, when I don't take a shower, my body's like a swamp, but I don't think that counts.
It is a real thing. No. I was learning about it. I can't find the screen because I have like 8 billion screens. But let me see if I can look up bog gender real quick if it'll come up.
What?
Yeah, this is a real thing. It is a real thing. So anyway, we were talking about this bog gender. We were talking about how there are other kinds of like apparently there is a gender in which it can change. It's called tempora gender. It can change with the seasons. I'm going to do a whole video about this. Your gender will change with the seasons. There are all sorts of nature genders. There are science fiction genders. There are feeling genders that are just like the feeling genders are the best because it's like this gender is very hard to describe. And it's like it's just about how you feel. But we were talking about this today in our Zoom call, and we were talking about the fact that teachers are maybe they are not aware that they're doing it, but they're forcing this stuff on people to enable them to not be able to have a connection with reality. This is not reality. Like
Precisely.
You are not a bog. Yep. I am not a bog. Like no human being is a bog or a swamp. That is stupid. Yeah. And it's like in pushing this on kids, and they talked about it in this meeting with like, let's talk about gender fluidity and all that. And I get it, man. Like, I think trans people exist. I don't think there's anything wrong with being trans, whatever. But they're doing this in a way where we are going to raise an entire generation that is disconnected fundamentally from reality. And what does that mean? It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And you are part of this generation. Congratulations.
Well, no, I don't own this. This is not mine. I don't own this. No,
you're like, wait a second.
I don't. I have no stock in this company. If I did, I pulled it out a long time ago. One of my favorite philosophers, Herbert Spencer, he said that there is a seed of truth in all things bad. And so his project was to try to bridge the gap between religion and science. And a lot of people back then in the 19th century were like, no, well, science is a superior answer to religion. And then the people who believed in religion were like, no, religion is the best answer to science. He said, you know what? There is a seed of goodness, a seed of truth in everything that we do. And so our job isn't necessarily to reject concepts outright. Our job is to see why concepts or ideas are bad, and then to see what we can take from those concepts or ideas. Because Spencer's point was that even if something is wrong, because there are a lot of wrong ideas, there's a reason that it was believed in the first place. And maybe the reason for that belief has some kind of base in reality in some way, shape, or form. As it relates to this gender thing, the reason for this belief is that people, and this is my opinion, are losing either lack control of their self-identity, or they are uncomfortable with who they are in a certain way, shape, or form. And when you're uncomfortable and you lack the self-worth to say, no, you know what? I do feel this way. I am this way. And regardless of what anyone says, I manifest my own destiny. I am my own standard of value. When you can say that, then what society thinks, what structures think, what institutions think become irrelevant. But when you're, well, I'm black, and institutions hate me, structures hate me, everyone's racist, microaggressions exist. When all this stuff is attacking you, you have given up your ability, watch this, to self-govern your existence. Mm-hmm. We have a crisis of a lack of self-governance in this country right now. Now, look, everyone deals with issues of self-esteem and self-worth. This is a human thing. But the insidious thing is, Carlin, and I'm going to stop preaching for a moment. In a moment.
That's okay.
The insidious thing, Carlin, is this. you combine low self-esteem with political and social movements, you get bad results. You get a bunch of people who are surrounding each other and convincing each other that their low self-esteem is not due to just being a human being and going through the motions. It's due to someone else's problem.
Yes.
So,
that's exactly
anyway.
right. We have to give ourselves the validation we're looking for from other people. No one can develop high self-worth and confidence but you. No one can do that work for you. It doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what words they use. It doesn't matter how uncomfortable they make you feel. Like, you're the only one that can fix that at the end of the day. And until people start taking personal responsibility for what they are contributing to their experience, it's not going to get any better.
100%. 100%. All right,
Christian, thank you for joining me. Well, okay, guys, make sure you subscribe to Christian's YouTube channel. And Christian, will you come to a stream with me sometime?
Whenever you want to, you just let me know, okay? Whenever you want to. And my channel is Christian Watson, by the way, my name. Just that's all it is. But
awesome.
Yes.
Well, I will be in touch with you about that. All right, Christian, have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
So I want to say TL Good in the StreamYard room. I'm not sure why you keep coming back because you already came on camera, but if you can private chat in why you keep coming into the room after I keep removing you, that'd be great. I'm curious, do you want to come back on the stream? I'm just not sure. And I also want to say I'm putting the link. If you guys think I'm making this bog gender thing up, I am not. I just put in the link to the Tumblr that explains bog gender and fae gender and gender flora and tempura gender and every other type of gender you could want. I'm going to be doing a video about this. It is crazy, and you can see for yourself. All right, guys, we got a couple more callers. We got Kevin and Giorgio and Brandon and Kim. Kevin, welcome. Hi. Oh, is Kevin frozen? Oh, I think Kevin might be frozen. All right. Oh, wait. Oh, Kevin, I see you moving. Uh-oh. Kevin, I can see you moving a little bit, but I'm not sure what's going on. It seems like your internet connection might be a bit choppy. I'm going to remove you for right now, and we'll see if we can get that connection working, but you're still in the room. So I'm going to try to bring you back up. But next, we're going to go to Giorgio. Hello?
Hi, Colin. Can you hear me?
How do I pronounce your name?
Giorgio.
I do have it right. I wasn't sure because there isn't an E, so I was like, I'm an American, but I'm glad I was getting it right. Hi, Giorgio.
It's okay. It's not my real name, actually. I'm American as well.
Well, excellent. Well, what do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, first, I was going to talk about one thing, but Christian brought up the gender thing, and that reminded me of something. So one of the people I play computer games with on Roblox, on their Discord profile, they're starting to list like they pronouns. So I linked them to this thing I found from LGBTA wiki called Insomnia Gender. And I said, do you think stuff like this is legitimate? And he responded, I don't know. I have never met anyone with that, so I can't really tell.
So he's responding purely based on his lived experiences, not actual logic or reason.
I don't know, but according to the LGBTA wiki, it says insomnia gender is a mutogender. Wait, what's that? That is a subcategory of gender fluid in which one's gender changes in response to a specific situation. It can include things like one's location, the time of day, the people one is around, etc. It can be a gender on its own or an umbrella term.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I buy that.
And what I want to talk about.
Hang on, what was the name? Insomnia gender? Was that it?
Insomnia gender, like one word.
Oh, that's not in this gender wiki Tumblr.
Yeah,
I'll have to add that.
Yeah, also look at this wiki as well. There's a lot of weird stuff on it. I wanted to talk about, remember the mathematics paper?
Yes.
So I found that. It's about 25 pages. I didn't read it all. I just skimmed it. I want to read the first sentence. Living mathematics towards a vision for the future. This paper offers specific implications for teaching and learning and brings into conversation ideas from ethnomathematics, including Western mathematics, post-colonial theory, aesthetics, biology, and indigenous knowledge in order to propose a new vision for practicing mathematics, what I call mathematics. I build upon the work of sustainability in mathematics education and suggest we need to think not only about more ethical ways of applying mathematics in teaching and learning, but question the very nature of mathematics. Who does it?
Oh my God.
And how we are affected by that practice.
We are questioning, MathMatX is questioning the very nature of mathematics.
Sounds very postmodern, like, what's reality, man?
That is the craziest thing I have ever heard in my life. Math is supposed to be the universal language.
And it mentions something called the North American chapter of the International Group for the Psychology of Mathematics Education. And I found a link to their 2021 conference that says it's going to be in Philadelphia. The theme is Productive Struggle, Persevering Through Challenges. Our 2021 conference theme, Productive Struggle, Persevering Through Challenges, attempts to reframe challenges through the lens of productive struggle. We aim to embrace the power of appropriate struggle as an opportunity for learning and growth. How can mathematics education researchers use this time of crisis as an opportunity for transformation? What new possibilities for mathematics learning and teaching were revealed through the unprecedented changes of 2020? And how can our existing research endeavors persevere through the current situation to reach new insights about mathematics teaching and learning? We invite papers about every kind of struggle in student learning, in teaching, in pre-service and in-service teacher education, and how it can both support and inhibit learning. The organizing community acknowledges the unique challenges that this past year has brought to primary caregivers and BIPOC scholars at all levels, and particularly invites papers which recognize and reflect on the processes and responsibilities of education during challenging times. We hope our theme helps to focus presentation proposals, but we encourage proposals that further a deeper understanding of teaching and learning mathematics, even if they do not directly address the theme. The various pages of this website provide further information about session types, submissions, templates, etc., and be updated throughout 2021.
Giorgio, can you do me a favor and send me the links that you are reading from? Because I would take a closer look at this insanity. I would really appreciate that.
Where do you want me to send it?
You can send it through my website, drcarlin.com, and just go to the contact form, or you can DM me on Twitter, or those are probably the two best places, whichever works for you. Okay, and that's all I have to mention. Thank you for joining the stream and terrifying me even more than I already was. All right, Giorgio, take care. Have a good one.
See ya. Bye.
All right, we are going to go back to Kevin, who I do see you moving now, Kevin. So we're going to do take two. Hello.
Words or violence? I don't think so. I think those AK-47s that are blasting people out in the streets, that's what they would probably most likely consider to be violence.
Yeah. I Kevin, you're breaking up for me a bit, to be honest. Like, I can't really make out. Uh-oh, it looks like he's frozen again.
Bull crap.
Kevin, I'm sorry, my friend. It looks like you're frozen again. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. We're going to remove you from the stream for right now. I'm not exactly sure exactly what I was hearing there. I apologize. I will try to get you in again if we can get the internet to cooperate with us. But for right now, we're going to bring up Brandon, and then Kim is going to be in there too. Hopefully, I see Liberty Lion in the chat is trying. Hopefully, we can get you in this time. But if not, we'll get you in another time, dude. Brandon, what's up?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. What's going on?
All right. Thanks for talking with me, Dr. Carolyn.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
So you're gonna have to bear with me because I have ADHD. So sometimes my mouth runs ahead of my brain. So I had an observation and a question.
Sure.
So, and this is going back to the school board meeting. The observation was they claimed it wasn't political. Yet at the beginning, they emphasized that this was not CRT. there was that one guy that was talking about giving extra credit for what seemed to be activism. One of the main leaders was actually known for being in BLM, and on top of that, on the stage with the panelists was a leader of an organization that seemed to be lobbying against the laws that were partially responsible for the meeting occurring this evening.
Yep, it seemed that way, didn't it?
Yeah, it seemed that way. It seemed like they thought that the parents may have been stupid and
and they I think it was the principal, right, that emphasized that they're in a very progressive community, so they just didn't anticipate having problems with it. So, you know.
Yeah, and the other thing, the question was, in your professional opinion, what do you think about the guy? He was sitting next to the principal, who showed up to the meeting in street clothes when everyone else is dressed kind of business casual, kind of professional, and kept and he was talking about how he was trying to build a community, yet he'd only been there for like 5 months instead of trying to work with the community.
Yeah. So, I mean, so I'm going to be honest. I don't think there's anything wrong with street clothes. I mean, as someone who, like, I rarely will dress up for things. I will usually show up in jeans and a t-shirt to things. So I can't ding him too much for that because I do the same thing myself. I do think that when I hear him talking about community building at a place that he's only lived in for 5 months, I do think it would benefit to him to actually get out into the community and meet people and to spend some time learning about the community before he tries to do community building. But I'll say too, is I think that he's probably parroting words that he's heard from other people. Like he's parroting words that he's heard from his teachers. He's parroting words that he's heard from other people in the school. Like I think that's language that I hear just over and over and over and over and over again. So I'm not sure. I would question if he really understands what he means by that. And I'll also give him a little bit of slack because to me, I did see someone that was very young. Listen, young people need to learn. It's probably like his first job out of school or probably not far off from it. So I will try to be a little bit reasonable in this. And I place the blame much harder, frankly, on the school's leadership, the principal, the superintendents, people who have more experience, who should know better, who are running the show. I place much more blame on them than I do on the young guy.
Okay, maybe I'm just a little bit more old school on the whole dressing up thing, but I can see your point with the other thing. And last question. So the guy who was the coach.
Yeah.
I when he was talking, I was wondering, what did he mean by the whole diversity inclusion stuff as it has pertaining to sports? Because I would think that in sports you're trying to build like the best team to win. So if you're trying to be all this inclusive and equity, wouldn't that actually hurt your sports programs?
It probably would, because if you're implementing these ideas as they are generally implemented, you're not going to have a team that trusts one another on just like a personal level. So I would imagine that it probably would, and we saw that in the Olympics, didn't we? Like the teams that went the most woke did not do very well. And so, but that's something that people are going to have to learn over time. I think we're also seeing this with this giant FUBAR, frankly, in Afghanistan. I mean, these things are related because we're talking about team dynamics, group dynamics, and when you're doing things like this type of training, it's going to fundamentally impair the social dynamics of the team in a way that it doesn't allow for trust to be built. It doesn't allow for people to feel psychologically safe. I mean, I know people don't like to use feeling words, but that actually is a thing that contributes to team success. It contributes to team success on a small scale, like a high school basketball team. It contributes to team success on a big scale, like a giant military FUBAR in Afghanistan, because the generals are more interested in going woke than they are in actually doing their flipping jobs. So I think we can see right in front of us how this is actually manifesting in the real world just by watching how these things are playing out. But it's going to take time because people have to learn that this is a pattern that they are contributing to. And so we'll see where it goes. Maybe Afghanistan will be the best thing that happened from this perspective, not for Afghanistan. I'm not suggesting it's a good thing for the country or the people there. It's a horrible thing. But from the perspective of learning about the implications of some of these things, we're seeing it play out right in front of us.
Thanks for talking. Just one more thing. I want to give thumbs up to all of those parents who, even though the rules said it wasn't open, like, I'm not saying you should break the rules, but even though it wasn't an open forum, those parents who tried to get their voice heard, thumbs up to those parents. I think they're doing a good job.
Yeah, those parents were great, weren't they? They were awesome.
All right, thanks for talking with me.
Thank you, Brandon. All right, I want to say, the bill in the chat. No, I'm not a foreign policy expert at all. I think we never should have gone to Afghanistan in the first place. I think we absolutely should have left Afghanistan. That wasn't the point I was making, dude. Don't try to get one over on me. All right, Kevin. Kevin, let's try one more time, buddy. Let's try one more time. We're gonna see if the stream works this time. Okay, and we're gonna cross our fingers. Everyone send good vibes to Kevin.
Being a Scottish who drank all the time, he said, "Come to a new country. I come here for a better life, and I can't even have a great life."
Kevin, I'm sorry, Kevin. I'm not
to try.
Oh,
and they moved to BC in Canada. Grandfather.
Okay, Kevin, I'm sorry. Like, it's coming through really broken up for me, and it sounds like your audio is coming from something else that's not your mouth. I'm sorry, my friend. I don't know exactly what to do to fix it. But we've tried a couple times now. I don't know if it's gonna work out for tonight, but please try to call in another time. I'm really sorry. I don't know what's going on. I wish we knew. All right. Kim, but we gave it a good effort, Kevin. I apologize. I wish I could get you on the stream, but it's just very broken up, and I don't think it's going to work for tonight. All right, we've got Kim. I see Liberty Lions in here too. Kim, what's up?
Hi, you can hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good. What's going on?
Okay. Well, let me premise this with I live in Florida. My kids are homeschooled. In Florida, there's many school choices. One of them for homeschool students is something called FLVS Flex, where the state of Florida allows your child to pick up to 6 subjects, online, and you actually get credit for those. You can take the final exam at a public school or not. You can opt out of what they call the FSA here, Florida State Achievement Test.
Yeah.
One of my youngest is 13. He has level 1 autism, which used to be called Asperger's. And both of my kids have taken the SAT for various gifted programs and stuff. So they're good. They're, my youngest is like 3-4 grades ahead. Typical for, Asperger's with the synchronous development. I'm a little nervous. I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're doing just great.
Okay. Well, one of the reasons I'm calling is because prior to pulling my children out of, the public school system here in Florida, when they were younger, my youngest had what is called an individual educational plan, an IEP.
Yep.
He had that put in place. He aged out from the early child care, the early services at the age of 3 and went into, the public school system. And I was already familiar because my older son had a speech impediment. Little different. IEPs are different than 504s. Okay. So with that said, in the state of Florida, they have what you could start like a early program at the age of 3, and then the summer before you're supposed to go into kindergarten, you can either do voluntary pre-K, or they have here in Florida what's called specialized instructional services. What that means is they give you the funding amount that the Florida Board of Education would pay the school system for the pre-K, and you can use it for applied behavior analysis. Are you familiar with what that is? Applied behavior analysis?
Yeah, I know the basic gist of it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so I'll try to get through this. So that you can use it for ABA or VB, verbal behavior. You can use it for speech language pathology or physical therapy, etc. There's like 7 or 8 different categories. I used it for the applied behavioral analysis, which really was more of the verbal behavior type, because he, was very smart, but he didn't want to sit down and do anything. And I had a very professional ABA therapist, because I know that could be a little harsh on kids, but this wasn't the old fashioned where they're, very mean to the kids. It was very professional. Okay, here's my concern, and I'm hoping that you can spread the word. If you go to Bing, you won't find it in the Google search, but if you go to Bing and you type in CRT, and applied behavior analysis, you will be brought to a Springer link article or a paper, like a review, that is actually, it says right here, editor's note, this manuscript is being published on an expedited basis as part of a series of emergency publications designed to help practitioners of applied behavior analysis take immediate action to address police brutality and systemic racism. Blah, 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 blah. You go down here. Clients of applied behavior analysis, ABA, specifically those who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color, BIPOC, receiving treatment for autism spectrum, regularly experience the effects of systemic racism. And it goes on and on and on with everything you probably can already imagine. And it's called Cultural Responsiveness Curriculum for Behavior Analysis, a meaningful step towards social justice. Now, if you just go into the Bing search, you won't get the whole article unless you can pay for it. But if you hit, you know, how you can go to the cached version, you'll see the whole article. I don't know if you can pull that up, but I need this to be brought to the attention to people in the know, because applied behavioral analysis done by a board certified behavioral analysis who puts a program in place for children, especially children in the public school system. Like here in Florida, our governor, as you know, Governor DeSantis, ruled CRT not to be taught. However, if you have a child that gets an IEP and they have it written into their IEP, either through positive behavioral support, emotional, social learning, and they have a BCBA or a behavioral therapist that, you know, because they usually, what they do is a BCBA will come in and make the plan, and then they'll send a board certified technician. This is indoctrination. These are the most vulnerable children that are out there. It is a backdoor to use public funding for the school system to pay for this.
Yeah, I mean, social emotional learning is one of the new terms that they're using to try to replace critical
every
race theory.
IP my child ever had has social emotional learning in there. It is usually separate, but the way that they are being very sneaky with this. These kids are some of them are very, very vulnerable. Once you teach them something and they become fixated, think Greta Thunberg, okay? With the, you know, everything, you know, the whole planet's about to burn. She's very fixated. She was taught that over and over and over. It's very repetitive. That's what BCBAs and verbal behavior, that's what it's all about. But it's not supposed to be about this. And I know some people listening might get offended from this, and I'm sorry, but there are behavioral disorders where, unfortunately, you know, young people, young adults on the autism spectrum have been taught, or, you know, have had parents or relatives who didn't understand the seriousness of what they might have been teaching them, whether it was learning how to shoot guns or various other things. And there's been quite a few, you know, I'm just going to say it, school shootings. You know, you get a really vulnerable child who gets told that maybe they're worthless or that somebody is oppressing them. I mean, this is bad. This is really bad. And that's all I wanted to say.
It's really bad, and it's one of the most vulnerable it's an actual vulnerable population
Yes,
that they're taking advantage of.
Is there a way that you can get this word out? I tried to forward this to, there's that moms group that's all over the board meetings, something Liberty, but they're very, you know, they're very conservative, and I don't think a lot of people would listen to what they have to say that are in the middle, or, you know, don't have a side, but this needs to get out. I would love to be able to send this to you, or if you can just pull it up, because I can't pay for this. I don't know with
Yeah.
your background if you can, but you can get it in the cached version.
So Kim, do me a favor and go to drcarlin.com. There's a contact form and send me this information, and it comes right to me. And I will
Okay.
get it and I will take a look at it.
Okay, and it will, in the subject, but my name's not Kim. I just use that for this because, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
but I will
just let me
definitely.
know. Just let me know that like it's just like a message box that you can write in. But let me know that we talked and that
Beautiful.
you use the name Kim. And you
Okay.
can give me your real name or not privately. That's entirely up to
Okay.
you. But just make sure I have the information and I will take a look.
And before I let you go, because I know you want to spend time with your husband, to all of your listeners and everybody, I didn't mean to come off offensive or insult anybody that may be on the spectrum or, you know, somewhere around there with what I said. But when you start little kids very young with this, it can be dangerous. That's how I wanted to get across. I wasn't trying to imply that children on the autism spectrum may or, you know, more dangerous than anybody else. I definitely know that is not true.
And I don't think you applied that, Kim. I don't see anyone in the chat taking offense to it. Actually, they're pretty disgusted by the information that you're sharing with us. And so it's important to get it out there, and you're already doing that, and we'll try to get it out there even more. But make sure your governor knows this too. You contact the governor's office and you make sure they know this too.
Yes, and real quick, for anybody that's listening, I use the Bing web browser. I typed in CRT, the word and, applied behavior analysis, and it'll bring you to the Springer link. Don't click on the actual article because you won't get the whole article. You have to pay for it. Go to the cached version, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
All right. Thank you, Kim. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your
No
night.
problem. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. All right. We got one more for the stream tonight, then we're going to wrap it up. Liberty Lion, welcome to the stream.
Oh, how are you?
Fancy meeting you here.
Oh, fancy meeting you here.
What's going on tonight?
See you on Gab. Well, obviously I was listening to that, and there were some very long pauses when they were getting asked questions. I thought that was pretty funny, but
I thought it was funny as well.
I mean, there's a lot of solutions we got to come up with. I mean, one is fighting back, and there's also getting other options like school pods. If we need to pull them out of these schools so they're not getting indoctrinated, where you get a few parents together that are knowledgeable, people that are able to be off work or don't work, and then you get one of them that's knowledgeable in, say, the Constitution, one of them that's knowledgeable in math, you know, history, and each person takes turns teaching the kids. That way too, it's not this weird homeschool thing where your parents are just teaching you all day. You're getting socialized. You're actually able to go out and talk to other people, and it's a way to, you know, actually be out with other people as well.
Well,
And
I think it makes homeschooling less daunting as well. I think a lot of parents don't even know where to start when it comes to homeschooling because they feel like they need to do everything. So I think pods are a great idea. There are also all sorts of homeschool resources that are popping up that, you know, parents can utilize. So they don't have to create the curriculum. They just have to be the ones to, you know, monitor.
I also think we might be able to utilize. Have you heard of Dave Jose?
I have not. Tell me about it.
Oh boy. Well, I'll tell you this. He's part of the reason that pretty much any of the state audits are going on right now. And I mean that. And I mean that wholeheartedly.
Oh, I do know his name. Okay. This is coming back now.
Yeah, but I've been following for a while. He has been doing this, but there's other uses to these affidavits of notice and things like that. So if these schools are fully woke or fully just not complying with the law, but then teaching our kids some of these, we can, I'm pretty sure there's a way we can write affidavits and notice to let them know, hey, if you try and teach this or do this, you're breaking the law and we'll hold you accountable. So that puts them on notice for that. And there is one more thing. Did you know that there is a day required by law that all government agencies and schools are required to teach the Constitution?
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's September 17th.
Oh, really? Less than a month away. How interesting.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
what law requires them to teach the Constitution?
Let me pull that back up. I've known this for a little while, but let's see what it is. Federal law requires schools and government agencies to teach U.S. Constitution. With President's signature on December 8th, 2004, the Consolidations Appropriations Bill was signed and became public law 108-447. I could keep reading, but it'll keep going on.
So there is actually a law that requires them to teach the Constitution on September 17th.
Yes. Yeah, and that should be spread far and wide.
That's very interesting. I had no idea. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as we come up on September 17th, I think.
Oh, that's a great idea. I like it.
All right, Liberty Lion. Anything else for tonight?
No, I'm a little flustered because I was having so many technical problems just trying to get up and running, so I didn't get to prepare at all.
Well, that's all right. I do call-ins on a fairly regular basis, so hope you can come back sometime.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. All right, everyone. I guess that's all we have for the stream for tonight. And again, Kevin, I'm really sorry we couldn't get the internet to work, but maybe next time. Guys, if you enjoyed this stream, please mount that like button. Please make sure you're subscribed if you want to be. Turn on notifications if you want to make sure you get served my content on YouTube. And of course, if you really want to support what I'm doing, you can join my locals community. Not only does it support me in terms of making sure I have the financial resources to be able to, spend time reading and doing research and all those things. We do have a great time in my locals. We do 2 community Zoom calls every single week. We do book club. We do debate club. We have a Discord server for my local supporters that I'm learning how to use slowly but surely, and we're going to be ramping up that, and I'm really excited about it. So you get all these things as being part of my locals community, kb.locals.com. It's free to join if you just want to check it out and see what's there. You get all my videos ad-free, but if you want to become a supporter and unlock everything, that's $5 a month. Or you can get the annual membership for $50 a year, which gives you 2 months for free. And I hope to see you guys in my locals. I have a lot of people from locals in the chat tonight that will tell you how awesome it is. I will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. for our happy hour live stream. We kind of just had happy hour tonight, but I wasn't drinking. So we're going to do happy hour tomorrow where we watch a diversity training of some sort. And I'm going to drink some beer. And you guys can drink whatever you want. And, we'll see how drunk I get on that stream. It won't be anything like tonight, though. I kind of wish I had been drinking tonight. I would thrown something. Who knows? But guys, have a great night. Take care. See you soon.